I am Gumomo. 5 years ago, I saved the empire's richest man, Lianting, and was forced to become pregnant with his child. However, my father felt ashamed when he found out that I was pregnant out of wedlock and confined me to my home until I gave birth to quadruplets. However, when I was unconscious during childbirth in the hospital, my sister Guan Shan took my baby away. I am lying in the hospital. I am so helpless. Who can save me and my child? Chapter 1 time goes back to that night 5 years ago. Don't be like this. Gumomo choked softly, tears falling from the corners of her eyes. She clenched the silk quilt tightly in her hands, her knuckles turning white from the force. The man's breath was heavy, like a heavy night covering her. His low and hoarse voice sounded beside her ears with an endless temptation. Good girl, help me. I really need you. In the dark night, Gumomo's eyes were as clear as a spring, but with a hint of crystal tears. Her mother had jumped from a tall building not long ago, taking away everything she had once been proud of. The company went bankrupt, and the family fell apart. Her life fell apart at that moment, and this stranger who she met for the first time actually gave her an indescribable sense of security. She herself couldn't explain where that feeling came from. Maybe it was because his voice was too gentle, or because of the sincerity in his eyes. Gumomo couldn't help but feel a desire in her heart, a desire to save him and to believe in him. As her body gradually relaxed, the man keenly noticed the change, and a slightly smug smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Even in the darkness, he could sense her gentleness, and this obedience filled him with some irrepressible emotion. He understood how dangerous and tense the situation was, but he still resisted the urge, as if he had made an unusually solemn promise. I swear, I will never touch any woman except you in this life. I will spend my whole life protecting you, loving you, and pampering you, okay? When Gumomo heard this, her heart was filled with waves. Her family never gave her any warmth, and this stranger, in this situation, actually respected her choice so much. This contrast really hurt her heart. She responded softly. Her voice was like the warm breeze of early spring, gentle and soft, successfully eliciting the man's irresistible smile. Lianting smiled softly, raised his hand, and gently stroked her cheek. The voice was low but full of temptation. Good boy, tell me, what's your name? His voice was as gentle as soft spring water, and Gumomo's body couldn't help but tremble slightly. She bit her lower lip, hesitated for a moment, and finally said, Lioli. Lioli. Lianting's lips curved up even deeper. It seemed as if the name made him feel extremely happy. Nice name. I will make you remember this night forever. As soon as he finished speaking, his kiss came like a storm, landing on her neck with uncontrollable passion and affection. When Gumomo opened her eyes, she felt as if her whole body had been crushed by a huge wheel. She turned her head painfully and looked at the man beside her. That face. It was like a work of art carved by the gods themselves. Handsome features, impeccable bone structure. Was this the man from last night? She couldn't help but frown. Why did this face look familiar? But now is not the time to think about these issues. She has more important things to do. She must take back the company and assets that belong to her mother and cannot waste time here. Gumomo quickly put on her clothes and took a last deep look at the sleeping man, feeling mixed emotions. She took out a pen and paper from her bag and hurriedly wrote a note explaining why she was called Lioli. Then, without further hesitation, she walked straight out the door. However, as soon as she stepped out of the door, there were hurried footsteps and the Gu family members shouting in the corridor. She's there. Catch her quickly. Don't let her run away. Gumomo's heart tightened, and she turned around to go back to her room, but before she could react, her mouth was tightly covered by a rough hand. Bitch, I finally caught you. You even dared to sleep with Master Ting. You are courting death. Ugh, Gumomo struggled desperately, a feeling of desperate fear rising in her heart. She stared at the door behind her in despair, silently shouting in her heart, Save me. Please, save me. 5 years later, the imperial capital. In the bustling commercial district, a 113-story luxury building stands in the clouds, overlooking the entire city. This is the branch of SK Group located in the imperial capital. Although it is only a branch, it already has a market value of tens of billions. The headquarters of SK Group is a leader among global business giants, controlling countless wealth and resources. But what is puzzling is that the person in power behind this vast empire has always been a mystery. On the top floor of the building, Gumo was anxiously looking for something in the office. Jing Shing, you little troublemaker. Where have you been again? Come out now. Just as he finished speaking, a handsome boy who looked like a porcelain doll came out from behind the bookshelf dejectedly, with a cunning gleam in his eyes. He was Jing Shing, the son that Gumo gave birth to 5 years ago. Don't be angry, Mommy. We just arrived at the capital branch. I just want to get familiar with the new environment. Jing Shing hugged Gumo's legs and spoke in a soft, flattering voice. Gumo shook her head helplessly, squatted down, and gently rubbed his hair. You are such a clever little ghost. But remember, this is not a foreign country. The environment in the imperial capital is complicated. Don't run around everywhere, okay? I know, Mommy. Jing Shing smiled sweetly, his shiny black eyes sparkling like stars. Jing Shing was a little confused. Mommy was obviously living well abroad. So why did she return to the capital and open such a big company? He suddenly thought of a possibility. His eyes rolled, and he leaned close to Gumo's ear and whispered, Mommy, are you back to find my daddy? When Gumo heard this, her face darkened slightly, and then she smiled again. She scratched his nose lightly and said, Little boy, how many times have I told you that your daddy is gone? Don't think about him anymore. Over the years, Jing Shing had become everything to her. There is no room for anyone else in her heart. There was no way she would let that man take the child away from her. At this moment, the assistant knocked on the door and reported solemnly, Mr. Miss Guan Shan of Gu Group is here and said she wants to see you. Gumo's heart skipped a beat, and her hands clenched involuntarily. Guan Shan is here? This is the opportunity she was waiting for. As long as she can get the whereabouts of her daughter from Guan Shan. She took a deep breath, calmed down, and whispered, Let her in. Chapter 2, She is Pregnant with Quadruplets. Chapter 2, She is Pregnant with Quadruplets. She deliberately bought the land reserved by the Gu Group in order to make the Gu family come to her for help. Unexpectedly, Guan Shan came faster than she thought. She curled her lips slightly. Okay, I'll go see Guan Shan now and ask her to take good care of Jing Shing for me. Gumo turned and went to the reception room of SK Group. As soon as I walked into the corridor of the SK Group reception room, I heard Guan Shan's complaining voice. What AF * king boss of SK Group. He's really good at pretending. He just arrived in the capital and snatched away our Gu Group's territory at a high price. How dare he make me wait here for so long? No one from the League Group dares to do this to me. In order to obtain that piece of land, the Gu Group spent a lot of money just to buy off relationships. Adding on the initial investment in the project made by Gu Group, the total amount exceeds several hundred million. Lianting, who was beside her, was annoyed by Guan Shan. Shut up. If you anger the president of SK Group, can you bear the responsibility? Guan Shan was already upset, and now she was scolded by her own father, and she couldn't hold back her anger. Dad, I just don't understand. Isn't he just the president of SK Group? What's so great about him? Is he worthy of you bowing down to him like this? Their Gu Group is a well-known company in the imperial capital. Who in the imperial capital doesn't know their Gu Group? Besides, she is now the benefactor of the Leaf family. 5 years ago, Guan Shan originally wanted to take Gumo's child and impersonate Gumo. However, who knew that Lianting was so smart that he could tell at a glance that she was not the person he spent the night with that night? Guan Shan was found to be lying. Later, Lianting spent countless manpower, material resources, and financial resources to look for Guan Shan. He had been looking for 5 years but still hadn't found her. Although Lianting was not a good woman, the elders of the Li family were grateful to her for sending their grandson here, and they regarded Guan Shan as the benefactor of the Li family. This identity alone was enough. As for Lianting, Guan Shan never gave up on this man. Lianting was so angry that he gritted his teeth. If he hadn't been counting on her to marry Lianting, he would have slapped her in the face. Therefore, Lianting could only hold his breath and explain, Shan, Dad didn't mean to yell at you. But you have to at least pay attention to business matters. SK Group is a global multinational company. Its industries include jewelry, film and television, entertainment. I heard that the hourly revenue is calculated in billions. The industry is even more powerful than the League Group. Guan Shan's delicate little face turned pale, and she felt inexplicably guilty. I didn't expect that the president of SK Group is so powerful. Oh, right, she remembered. She remembered that she had overheard Li Jianting talking to his subordinates before. The partner that Li Jianting had been trying hard to win seemed to be SK Group. Gu Shanshan's heart began to tremble. Damn it, there shouldn't be any surveillance cameras in this reception room, right? Just then, Gumomo pushed the door open and walked in. She was wearing a neat and expensive hip-hugging suit skirt, and her brown curly hair was tied up with a hairpin. The expensive suit skirt outlined her perfect figure, and her whole temperament was elegant and stern, like a sharp sword coming out of the world. She threw the document onto the table, leaned back on the chair, and crossed her legs. The Gu Group is really amazing. They came to our SK Group's territory and dared to curse the president of SK Group behind his back. Gu Shanshan and Gu Jinting widened their eyes in shock. Gumomo, how come this bitch is an SK Group? Isn't she dead? 5 years ago, she snatched away Gumomo's child and even asked the doctor to leave a baby in her belly, hoping that Gumomo would be tortured to death by the baby in her belly. This bitch is not dead. Gumomo, why are you here? Gu Shanshan's face was grim, and she looked around in panic. Seeing that no one was around, he waved his hand and slapped Gumomo in the face. Oh, I get it. You're dressed so well. You must have bought these cheap things from some street stall, trying to climb into the bed of the SK executives. You shameless bitch. This must be the case. Otherwise, how would Gu Shanshan have the qualifications to be an SK Group and dress so well? She wanted to destroy Gu Momo's face to prevent her from seducing men again. A hint of coldness flashed across Gu Momo's eyes. She stood up swiftly, grabbed Gu Shanshan's wrist with her backhand, and threw her over her shoulder in a domineering manner. Ah! Gu Shanshan's head hit the floor, and tears came out of her eyes due to the pain. Liamo, the male assistant following behind Gu Momo, pushed his glasses frame in shock and gave his boss a thumbs up in his heart. Mr. Gu's beating skills are becoming more and more skilled. Chapter 3: Meeting her baby daughter. Gu Jinting was so angry that his face turned blue. He hurriedly helped Gu Shanshan up, who had fallen to the ground. With a distressed look on his face, he asked, Shanshan, are you okay? Does it hurt? He glanced coldly at Gu Momo. Her tone was full of accusations and anger. Gu Momo, how dare you show up? A few years ago, you were so careless. Shanshan kindly advised you to turn back, but not only did you not listen, you even hit someone? Didn't your mother teach you what manners are? You have hands and feet, and it's better for you to go out and pick up trash than to sell your body. You're just like a prostitute in ancient times. Gu Jinting was already extremely disappointed with the daughter born to his ex-wife. Gu Momo has never been as good as Shanshan since she was young, and now she has fallen to such a level. She is a disgrace to the Gu family. Liamo almost laughed out loud when he heard this. This father and daughter really had a strange way of thinking. They could actually say such a thing. Prostitute? Oh, that's ridiculous. Gu Momo smiled faintly, her heart full of sarcasm. Look, this is her biological father. He relied on her mother to get to the top, and after he became rich, he kicked her away and turned to marry his white moonlight and gave birth to Gu Shanshan. Now she has built a career through her own efforts, but she is insulted by him like this. She lazily leaned back in her chair, lit a cigarette, and looked at them with a smile. Liamo, have you been itching to do anything lately? These people are really annoying to me. Teach them a lesson for me. Liamo's eyes flashed with excitement. He flexed his fists and responded with a smile. Boss Gu, this is your order. I can only follow it. What? Gu Shanshan and Gu Jinting were shocked. Gu Momo was actually qualified to convey the orders of the president of SK Group. Gu Momo, you actually dare? Before Gu Shanshan could finish her words, Liamo punched her hard in the face, and she screamed. The VIP area has excellent sound insulation, and the screams in the room are completely isolated. People of all kinds were walking around in the corridor as usual, as if nothing had happened. Gu Momo, do you know who I am? I am the wife of Li Jianting, the richest man in the empire. The most powerful man in the entire empire is standing behind me. How dare you touch me? Gu Shanshan covered her bleeding nose and screamed madly. She wanted to use Li Jianting's name to scare Gu Momo, but she didn't expect to bring even greater humiliation. Gu Momo nonchalantly exhaled a puff of cigarette, her eyes cold and full of sarcasm. Yes, it is precisely because you claim to be Li Jianting's wife that I want to teach you a lesson even more. By the way, let me remind you that if you continue to make trouble, it will make the president unhappy. Gu Shanshan was so angry that her face turned purple. She was about to retort, but was pulled back by Gu Jinting. Shut up. Behave yourself. Gu Jinting is an old fox after all. Seeing that Gumomo can now help SK Group pass messages, he realized that the situation is not good and hurriedly said in a low voice, Momo, I know you are rich now and have the opportunity to work in SK Group. Even though your mother and I have been divorced for many years, I am still your father, right? That piece of land is very important to the Gu family. Can you help us convey the president's intention and return the land to us? Gumomo looked at the flattering smile on his face and couldn't help but sigh in her heart that this man could throw all his dignity behind for the sake of profit. Her smile became even colder, and she said calmly, Plead for you? Of course, but there is a condition. Tell me the whereabouts of my daughter. This sentence hit Gu Jinting and Gu Shan like a heavy hammer. Gu Shan's face instantly turned ferocious, and she shouted guiltily, Gu Momo, forget it. Linger is my baby. Don't even think about taking her away from me. Gu Jinting also agreed. Yes, Momo, Linger has no blood relationship with you now, and she has long been accustomed to being with Shan. If you take her away by force, you will be a human trafficker to her and deprive her of her mother's love. Hearing this, Gumomo was so angry that she laughed. Depriving her of her mother's love? When her rights were taken away, did these people have any conscience? Her face suddenly turned cold, and she clapped her hands gently. Okay, you don't have to tell me. This is my territory anyway, and no one will know even if I kill you. Gu Shan and Gu Jinting were so frightened that they said tremblingly, Don't do it. I'm telling you. Linger will go to the auction with Lianting tonight, and you can see her there. But I warn you, Linger is mine. Don't even think about snatching her away. Gu Momo sneered in her heart when she heard this. She had seen through Gu Shan's tricks a long time ago, but now she had more important things to do. Okay, then see you at the auction. She said this coldly, stood up, and left. Gu Shan looked at Gu Momo's back and swore to herself with gritted teeth that no matter what, she would not let Gu Momo get her wish. Chapter For Another Son. Gu Momo finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as she could see her daughter, she would have taken the first step to win her back. As soon as the Gu family father and daughter left, Liemo quickly followed Gu Momo and asked in a low voice, Mr. Gu, your family situation? Do you know who Jing Shing's biological father is? Gu Momo had never mentioned her family affairs to Liemo, but at this moment, a deep meaning flashed in her eyes, and a sneer appeared at the corner of her mouth. 5 years ago, I just felt that he looked familiar, but I didn't know his identity. Now, I know who he is. Liemo was stunned for a moment, then asked cautiously, Then do you want to find Jing Shing's father? Gu Momo sneered without even turning her head. I have money and status now. Why would I look for a man, come back to be a vase? Liemo was choked and shut his mouth wisely. He understood that Ms. Gu now controlled the lifeline of global business and did not need any man to interfere with her life. In the evening, Gu Momo went to the Imperial Capital auction as scheduled. This auction is famous all over the world and attracts countless tycoons from the Imperial Capital every time. It is said that there is a powerful figure with an extremely mysterious identity behind the auction, and even the bigwigs in the Imperial Capital dare not act rashly here. Gu Momo was wearing a simple, white chiffon dress, with her brown curly hair falling softly on her shoulders, making her look like a fairy walking out of the mortal world, fresh and otherworldly. She calmly walked into the VIP door and showed the special token in her hand. The bodyguard was so shocked that he could hardly speak. Mr. Gu, it's you. Why did you come all the way here? Gu Momo smiled faintly and made a gesture to keep quiet. I'm just here to look for someone. I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Don't reveal my identity. Do you understand? The bodyguard nodded repeatedly, fearing that there would be any mistakes. Yes. Mr. Gu, we must keep it a secret. For your safety, I will immediately notify Director Chun to come and accompany you. Gu Momo ignored him and went straight into the venue, following the clues to find her daughter's whereabouts. She had already learned that her daughter's name was Li Qingling, and she had been smart and clever since she was young. For the past 5 years, everyone in the world knew that Lianting had a precious daughter, but he avoided women as much as possible. Even though Gu Shan pursued him for many years, he remained as cold to her as before. At the auction, Gu Shan wore a gorgeous one-shoulder-long dress. The rosy red dress made her skin look white and smooth. Her smile was elegant and dignified, attracting the attention of many top young men in the capital. Miss Shan, are you waiting for Master Ting here? I heard that Miss Shan Shan is very knowledgeable about jewelry. Director Chen has always been optimistic about you. Gu Shan Shan was flattered by these compliments and smiled tenderly. You are too flattering. Director Chen and I are just ordinary friends. At this time, Lin Wanner, the daughter of the second master of the Lin family, who was standing next to her, came over and said, Sister Shan Shan is so modest. Director Chun is a well-known figure in the capital, and it is not easy for us to meet him. Lin Wanner has been wanting to marry Li Zhanfeng, Li Zhanting's younger brother, for many years, but Li Zhanfeng is so cold to her that she tries her best to please Gu Shanshan, hoping to use her relationship to get closer to the Li family. Just as Gu Shanshan was enjoying everyone's compliments, she suddenly caught a glimpse of Gu Momo walking towards the VIP area, and her face instantly turned pale. Even she had to work hard to get admission to this auction. So how did Gu Momo get in? And she even dared to go straight to the VIP area. Gu Momo! Gu Shanshan suddenly raised her voice, attracting the attention of people around her. She quickly adjusted her expression and pretended to be gentle and said, Sister, we haven't seen each other for 5 years. Why did you come back to the capital? Have you been doing well in the past 5 years? Seeing this, Lin Wanner immediately rushed forward fiercely. Gu Momo, you shameless bitch. The shameful things you did 5 years ago weren't enough. What are you doing back now? Do you want to snatch Master Ting from Sister Shan Shan? A cold light flashed across Gu Momo's eyes, and she neatly caught Lin Wanner's wrist. A clean shoulder throw threw her to the ground, and Lin Wanner screamed in pain. Ah! Gu Momo, you bitch! How dare you hit me? Lin Wanner's screams caused a commotion among the people around her, and they all blamed Gu Momo. Isn't this the woman who was abandoned a few years ago? Is she trying to seduce Mr. Li again? How shameless! How dare you cause trouble at the auction? Gu Shanshan was so happy. Even if Gu Momo came here, what would it matter? It would still be embarrassing. Facing the accusations of the public, Gu Momo just smiled coldly and said calmly, If I can prove that I got here by my own ability, then those of you who slandered me for relying on connections to get to the top will kneel down and lick my shoes. How about that? Lin Wanner sneered. Ha, this is so funny. With you? You still want to prove that you are qualified to come in? Gu Momo nonchalantly lifted her brown curly hair and said lightly, Since you were so confident, if I prove it later, don't regret it. Lin Wanner became even more arrogant. Okay, if no one can prove it, I'll see how you lick the soles of my shoes. Gu Momo took out her cell phone without hesitation and dialed a number. Director Chen, where is he? Why hasn't he arrived yet? Director Chen is a very important figure in the Imperial Capital auction. All these wealthy and powerful people have to act according to his mood, but Gu Momo can actually call him directly? Lin Wanner was still disdainful and laughed so hard that she fell backwards. You didn't sleep with Director Chen, did you? This is really hilarious. However, no one noticed that in the VIP room not far away, a handsome boy with a delicate face. He was looking at Gu Momo intently, with an inexplicable light flashing in his eyes. Son Li Zixiao. The boy has delicate features and handsome eyes. He is wearing a well-cut black suit. He just lay there quietly, with a cold and indifferent temperament, as if everything in the outside world was incompatible with him. The small figure is so tall, and yet so lonely. But if you look closely, you will find that the boy looks exactly like Gu Momo's son Gu Jing Shing. Butler Li looked at the lonely boy from afar and felt very lonely. Butler Li knew that the young master must be lonely like this. The young master's name is Li Zixiao. He is Master Li's beloved son and the apple of the Li family's eye. The Li family loves him very much. However, the young master has suffered from a congenital brain tumor since childhood and has been a lonely and depressed person since childhood. The doctor said that he must relax in order to relieve the pain caused by the brain tumor. Otherwise, the brain tumor may worsen at any time. But unfortunately, the young master has been lonely and helpless since childhood, and he doesn't even have a mother to accompany him. After all, the young master is still so young, and he still needs someone to accompany him all day long. What should we do in the long run? He sighed softly and gently put a cotton coat on the boy. The old voice was very gentle. Young master, do you like Miss Gu Momo very much? Butler Li noticed that the young master's eyes were on Gu Momo when she came in. Li Zixiao's eyes were as clear as crystal. Butler, do you think she could be my mother? She is really beautiful and kind, just like a fairy. Yes, that's right. She must be the mother sent by the gods, the fairy mother. Butler Li's eyes flashed with surprise. Did he hear it right? The young master actually spoke? Young master. Butler Lee was so happy that his eyes narrowed with a smile. He wanted to tell the truth, but in the end he changed his words. If the young master likes Miss Gumomo, then I will tell Master Lee to let Miss Gumomo come to our villa often to see the young master, okay? Li Zixiao's indifferent eyes finally showed a little fluctuation, but then he thought of something and the light in his eyes dimmed. He stood up slowly, turned around, and walked into the VIP room. Forget it. The doctor said he wouldn't live past the age of 7. If Fairy Mom lived with him, she'd be so kind and she wouldn't want to let him go. If he dies at that time, the Fairy Mother will be sad too. He liked the Fairy Mom, and he didn't want to make her sad, and he didn't want her to watch him leave this world. Fairy Mom is a fairy, so let Fairy Mom stay outside forever and fly freely. Young master. Butler Lee didn't know what he said to offend Li Zixiao, so he quickly closed the window and followed him. On the other side, Lin Wanner thought her plan had succeeded, and she forced Gumomo to lick the sole of her shoe with a crazy smile. Gumomo, if you lose, you lose. Hurry up and lick the soles of my shoes. Unexpectedly, just as she finished speaking, a sharp voice came from not far away, who said she got in through connections. Everyone turned around quickly and saw a middle-aged man in a suit and tie with a stern face walking towards them. The man was full of energy and looked very imposing, and his momentum alone was enough to crush everyone. Everyone immediately stood up straight. It's Director Chun. Director Chun is here. Guan Shan and Lin Wanner didn't understand what Director Chun said. They thought Director Chun was helping them, so they ran over excitedly. Director Chun, it's this woman. This woman bullied Shan and even wanted to go in and seduce Master Lee. Director Chun didn't even look at Lin Wanner. He immediately walked in front of Gumomo, leaned forward, and bowed respectfully. Miss Gu, I'm late, are you okay? Everyone at the scene gasped. What kind of man did Gumomo hook up with? How could Director Chun be so humble? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Gumomo remained calm and composed. She only glanced at Director Chun before fixing her cold gaze on Lin Wanner and Guan Shan. Director Chun, can anything be auctioned now? Faced with her questioning, Director Chun didn't dare to breathe. He took out a handkerchief from his suit pocket, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and nodded in apology. I'm really sorry, Miss Gu. It was my mistake at work. Lin Wanner could tell she was mocking her, and her face turned blue with anger. Gumomo, what are you talking about? Don't think that you are a phoenix, just because you are with a man of noble status. I tell you, a wild chicken is a wild chicken. You will never. Pa! Before Lin Wanner could finish her words, a loud slap stunned her. She tilted her head to one side, covering her red and swollen face, and looked up at the person who hit her in disbelief. Director Chun shook the hand that slapped her, which turned red, and it seemed that he had used a lot of strength. Do you know what you're talking about? The Miss Gu in front of you is a platinum member of our charity auction. If she says anything, you'll all be gone. There was an uproar at the scene. Platinum membership requires a capital verification of more than 10 billion to be issued. Also, I heard that platinum members have absolute say and special treatment at the charity event. No wonder Director Chun is so respectful to her. But wasn't Gumomo kicked out of the Gu family a long time ago? Where did she get so much money? Guan Shan, who had been standing aside without saying anything, listened to everyone's discussions and looked at Gumomo in horror. Platinum member? How is that possible? The Imperial Capital Charity Auction is indeed divided into different levels. Ordinary members can participate in the auction. Only members who have reached the gold level are eligible to bid for the finale of the auction, and the most difficult to obtain is the platinum membership. In the entire Imperial Capital, only Lianting can reach this level. She, Gumomo, is just a woman who relies on selling her body to get ahead. How could she possibly get a platinum membership? Could it be? Could it be that the man on her list was Lianting? No. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Seeing this, Lin Wanner was already a little panicked, but with so many people watching, she didn't want to admit defeat so easily, and suddenly burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, platinum member? Director Chun, everyone in the capital knows that our President Lee is the only platinum member. This woman who just returned to China probably doesn't even know what the imperial capital has become now. You say she is who she is? You are still stubborn even when you are about to die. Director Chun snorted coldly and clapped his hands at the air. At some point, the platinum membership certificates issued by the auction house began to be played on all the electronic screens on site. On the certificate, the 3 words Gumomo appeared prominently. Lin Wanner stared at the screen in amazement. How? How could this be possible? Chapter 6. Encountering my baby daughter. Now, is there anything else to say? Director Chen said coldly, and then bowed to Gu Momo again. Ms. Gu, please listen to your orders for these two people from now on. I will fully cooperate with you if you need anything. Gu Shanshan bit her lower lip tightly, humiliation, anger, and unwillingness filling her whole body. Gumomo, what on earth did she do while she was abroad these years? Why do I have such an identity and status as soon as I return to China? She must have made a lot of money selling her body abroad, and she hooked up with an unknown big shot. This bitch, just like 5 years ago, she only knows how to sell her body. Gumomo looked at Gu Shanshan's blue face and knew that she must be cursing herself in her heart and was unwilling to lose like this. But right now, she had to deal with Lin Wanner, who stood up for others. As the saying goes, killing the chicken to scare the monkey. Gumomo asked someone to bring a chair, lifted up her skirt and sat on it, crossing her legs. The slit skirt instantly revealed her fair and slender long legs, and her silver high heels were slightly lifted. She calmly grabbed a strand of hair and twisted it around her fingertips. She narrowed her eyes slightly and said with a smile, "Just now, who said that the loser would lick the soles of shoes?" Now, the winner has been decided, and since Gu Momo is a platinum member, there will be a lot of ordinary members in this room who will want to rely on her help in the future. Then, everyone followed suit. Yes, Miss Lin, didn't you just say that the loser has to lick the soles of shoes? We were all listening. You, the Lin family, can't go back on your words, right? That's right, lick it quickly and stop the ink. When Lin Wanner heard this, her legs softened and she collapsed to the ground. She backed away in fear, muttering, "No, I don't want it." Seeing how cowardly she was, Gu Momo put down her long legs, stood up, grabbed her hair, and dragged her in front of her. Lin Wanner was no match for her and was thrown to the ground. When she was about to get up, Gu Momo stepped directly on her shoulder. The tip of the high-heeled shoe pressed against her right cheek, and she grimaced in pain and cried nonstop. "Ah, it hurts." Lin Wanner's shoulder that was stepped on was pushed lower and lower, and finally her whole body fell to the ground in a dog-eating shit state. His nose hit the floor, and his mouth was instantly filled with blood. Lick it or not, Gu Momo stepped on her face with the sole of her shoe again, almost distorting her facial features. Lin Wanner was spoiled to begin with, so she couldn't stand such a beating. She cried out, "I'll lick it! I'll lick it!" Then, under the gaze of everyone, she stuck out her tongue and licked Gu Momo's soles a few times symbolically. Gu Momo frowned, not very satisfied. It seems that Miss Lin thinks that the soles of my shoes are bland and tasteless. As Gu Momo was speaking, she saw spit on the ground that someone had just spit out. A shoe was about to step on it, adding some spice to her. "Oh no, no, I'll do it again. I'll do it again." This time, Lin Wanner rolled and crawled to Gu Momo's feet. Without any perfunctory attitude, she lifted her feet and licked the soles of her shoes clean. Ha ha ha, this Lin Wanner really licked Gu Momo's shoes. She's the daughter of the imperial capital. This is really embarrassing. Of course not. This Gu Momo is really a ruthless person. After such a commotion, who will dare to go against her in the future? Today is really wonderful. The ticket is worth it. I must record this moment. Someone in the crowd said something, and everyone took out their cell phones and took pictures of Lin Wanner being humiliated. "No, don't take pictures of me." Lin Wanner knelt on the ground, with countless flashes of light coming at her. She desperately covered her face with her hair and buried her head in her chest. Although Gu Shanshan was very unwilling to see Lin Wanner being tortured like this, she did not dare to confront Gu Momo head-on at the moment. She wanted to slip away while her attention was on punishing Lin Wanner. Gu Momo had already seen all of this, and she would not let Gu Shanshan escape easily. "Director Chen, what are the entry criteria for the charity auction?" Upon hearing this, Gu Shanshan panicked and stopped unconsciously. Upon hearing this, Gu Shanshan panicked and stopped unconsciously. "Become an ordinary member," Director Chen replied. "Then this lady, is she her?" Gu Momo smiled wickedly and asked, pointing at Gu Shanshan. Director Chen understood what she meant, cleared his throat, and said loudly, "This lady came in by pretending to be someone else." Gu Shanshan did not receive an invitation to the auction, and the reason she was able to come in was because she bought someone else's invitation. She swallowed guiltily, turned around, and forced a smile. "Director Chen, what are you talking about? How could I be an imposter? I am Gu Shanshan." She specifically emphasized her name, thinking that in this imperial capital, the reputation of the Gu family would be enough to make Director Chen fearful. But in Director Chen's eyes, except for Gumo beside him and Lianting who had not yet shown up, he didn't care about anyone else at all. So he took out the invitation letter that Guan Shan had brought to the venue before. This invitation letter has a photo of Guan Shan, but the name is not yours. If this is not impersonation, then what is it? No, this must be fake. Guan Shan was afraid that the truth would be revealed, so she reached out to grab it. But Director Chen quickly withdrew his hand. She lost her balance and fell flat on her face. Ha ha, is Miss Gu anxious? I didn't expect that the daughter of the Gu family is not even an ordinary member of the auction, and she has to rely on this method to get in. So, aren't we all superior to her? Guan Shan heard the laughter from the people around her and gnashed her teeth in anger. It's not like she hasn't submitted her information to the auction before, but it was rejected every time. Now, she finally found the reason. Guan Shan glared fiercely at Gumo, who was sitting on the chair calmly. Gumo met her eyes and responded with a confident smile. Then he said to Director Chen, Director Chen, let's send Miss Gu back to where she came from. Oh, and Miss Lin, she also ate the sole of her shoe. It's time to leave. Director Chen took the order and waved his hand. 4 or 5 security guards in black suits rushed out from the corner, grabbed Lin Wanner and Guan Shan, and threw them out of the auction site. The scene finally returned to calm. The group of people who had been secretly mocking Gumo just now hid in the corner, fearing that she would attack them again. But Gumo had no interest in these people at all. The purpose of her coming to the auction was just to see her daughter. Thinking of her daughter, she felt both anxious and expectant. Director Chen saw that she was leaning on the armrest of the chair with one hand, looking a little bored, so he leaned over and suggested, Ms. Gu, I'm sorry to have scared you today. Now let me take you to the auction site, okay? Gumo raised her eyelids but said nothing. Director Chen didn't dare to move. Everyone at the scene was stunned by her powerful aura and didn't dare to make any noise. After a long while, Gumo finally stood up. Director Chen nodded quickly and walked in front of her to lead the way. Ms. Gu, this way please. The place where Gumo was just now was the lobby of the auction, and the main venue was in the back hall of the hotel, which required walking through a long corridor. Director Chen followed her, reminding her to be careful of the slippery ground and clearing the way in front. Suddenly, a little pink ball rushed out from the corner and bumped directly into Gumo's thighs. Then, because of the huge impact, he sat down on the ground. Ouch! The little pink ball's voice was soft and full of childishness. He stretched out his legs, sat on the ground, and stared at Gumo with grievance. Chapter 7. Would you like to be my mommy? Ouch! The little pink ball's voice was soft and full of childishness. He stretched out his legs, sat on the ground, and stared at Gumo with grievance. Wow, this ant is so beautiful, like a fairy. How can I take this beautiful ant home? Li Qingling pursed her lips and suddenly had the idea of taking this beautiful ant home. Whose child is this? Why is there no adult to take care of him? Director Chen was so frightened that he could not take care of the child. He immediately asked Gumo with concern, Miss Gu, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? Gumo was so focused that she only paid attention to the child in front of her. The little girl had thin bangs, soft hair, skin as clear and moist as snow, and a pair of bright grape eyes looking straight at her. She just felt like her heart was about to melt. Little girl, did you fall anywhere? Gumo bent down, picked her up, brushed the dust off her body, and straightened the hem of her pink princess dress. Beautiful Annie, you are so beautiful, just like a fairy Annie. As if she didn't hear her question, Li Qingling never took her eyes off Gumo. Gumo was amused by her. Annie knows I'm very beautiful, but please answer the question first. Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Director Chen, who had ignored the little girl just now, suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He could see that Gumo seemed to like this little girl very much. So he quickly stepped forward and asked, Little boy, where are your parents? Why are you here alone? Li Qingling glanced at Director Chen, frowned in dissatisfaction, and simply ignored his existence. Director Chen now wisely shut up. Li Qingling turned to Gumo, rubbed her pink face against the back of her hand, raised her head and said, Pretty aunt, my name is Li Qingling. My father is the super famous Lianting in the imperial capital, and I came here with him today to auction the painkillers of the ghost hand Saint Doctor. Gumo was stunned. Lianting? Li Qingling? The child in front of him was his daughter, who was taken away by Guan Shan 5 years ago. For the past 5 years, she has been investigating her daughter's appearance and whereabouts, but Lianting protected her daughter so well that her men had no way of finding out. So in the past 5 years, this was the first time she knew the true appearance of her precious daughter. She held back her tears, reached out, and carefully touched her daughter's cheek, her eyes slightly red. Li Qingling didn't know what was going on, but she really liked the sudden affection from the beautiful aunt. She covered the back of her hand with her small hand and rubbed her cheek along the direction of Gumomo's touch, with a look of enjoyment on her face. "Pretty Annie, your palms are so warm." Seeing her daughter grow up to be so lively and lovely, Gumomo felt very relieved, but she was also filled with regrets about not being with her for the past 5 years. She couldn't help but chuckle. "Linger is so cute. By the way, Annie can call you Linger, okay?" Linger's big black grape-like eyes sparkle. "Of course you can. Annie, just call me Linger. Tell Pretty Annie, Linger only allows people Linger likes to call her Ling. So Auntie is also someone Linger likes. Linger likes Pretty Annie." Gumomo was amused by Linger's well-behaved appearance. She simply squatted down and asked, "Linger, are you happy in the Lee family? How is Daddy treating you?" Originally, she shouldn't ask a child such a question. But as soon as she saw Linger, she couldn't wait to know more about Linger and couldn't help but ask. Linger's watery eyes were even happier. "Pretty Aunt, Linger is very happy in the Lee family. Dad is very good to Linger. By the way, Pretty Aunt, do you like my dad? If you like my dad, can I introduce him to you?" That old witch Guan Shan is always thinking about seducing Daddy, and she is really worried about her. Fortunately, Daddy was smart enough and didn't fall for the old witch's trick. Puff. Director Chen really couldn't hold back his laughter. "Is there anyone who can hook up with his daddy in this way?" Linger looked at Director Chen fiercely with her watery eyes. "Are you not convinced? How can Guan Shan, that old witch, compare to the beautiful aunt?" Director Chen, "I'm sorry, my dear, I was wrong." Gumomo chuckled and said, "So, Linger likes your dad very much?" Linger said without hesitation, "Of course. Linger of course likes Daddy, but to be honest, Daddy is so stubborn, I don't know if he's worthy of Pretty Aunt. If Pretty Aunt marries Daddy, will it be unfair to her?" Gumomo was in a complicated mood. If Linger likes Lianting so much, wouldn't it be another kind of cruelty to Linger if she took Linger away directly? Therefore, she had to think of a foolproof plan. "Linger!" A shout interrupted Gumomo's thoughts. Several people looked in the direction of the sound. The man was wearing a well-tailored black suit, which made him look broad-shouldered and thin-waisted. He walked slowly with his right hand casually in his trouser pocket, exuding a cool and noble temperament. He walked slowly with his right hand casually in his trouser pocket. It was not until she came closer that Gumomo saw his face, which was so familiar that she could never forget it. When she was trapped by the Gu family 5 years ago, she looked forward to that man coming to rescue her every day. At that time, she had nothing, and except him, she had no one she could trust. So she waited and waited until she was tortured to the point of almost dying by the Gu family. But she still didn't wait for him. In the past 5 years, she has been struggling alone, experiencing too many life and death situations and hardships, and has long put aside relationships between men and women. She didn't want to pin her fate on a man. Her own destiny can only be decided by herself, and she will definitely find a way to take her daughter away. Lianting's cold and sharp eyes fell on Gumomo's hand, which was stroking Li Qingling, and his brows frowned. "The woman in front of me has smooth and shiny skin, lively eyes, and a natural aura emanating from her body, which is pleasing to the eye. But like other women, she wanted to get close to him by pleasing his daughter." He looked down at Linger, and his expression suddenly became gentle. His big palm covered Li Qingling's little head. "Linger, did Daddy tell you not to run around? Before you go anywhere, you should tell Daddy first." Although he said these words of reproach, he could not hear any tone of blame in his voice. Instead, it was full of doting. Gumomo snorted in her heart. Considering that he was nice to Linger, she temporarily let go of the past. But she still had to find a way to take her own precious daughter away. Chapter 8. Mr. Li, are you a narcissist? When Li Qingling saw her father coming, an idea suddenly lit up in her little head, and she suddenly ran to Gumomo, took her hand, and pulled her in front of Lianting. "Daddy, this beautiful aunt is so beautiful. Can you marry her home and let her be my mother?" Li Qingling blinked and looked at Lianting aggrievedly. "Daddy, you are not young anymore. It is time for you to find a wife and get married. If you are any older, the pretty aunt will dislike you. Besides, your family won't urge you to get married, and the old which won't bother you anymore. Gumomo. Why did these words sound a bit like those of an old man urging her to get married? Lianting narrowed his eyes slightly and fixed his gaze on Gumomo. Although Linger has a lively personality, she is not friendly to everyone. It has only been 10 minutes since she left the auction. In such a short time, how could he be so concerned about a strange woman? Linger, in this case, shouldn't you let me talk to this aunt alone? Lianting sent Li Qingling away. Li Qingling thought that Daddy was also interested in the beautiful aunt, and she was delighted and nodded vigorously in response. Yeah, okay, but Daddy, you have to be nice to pretty Auntie. If you make pretty Auntie cry, Linger will never let you go when she gets back, humph. Then he took happy little steps and skipped away. But halfway through the walk, she seemed to feel something was wrong. So she turned back and glanced at Director Chen. Grandpa, come with me. Don't disturb my dad and my new mom's world of two. Before Director Chen could react, he was dragged into the auction hall by Li Qingling. Wow, are kids nowadays so mature? They can even tie the red string. In the long and narrow corridor, only Gumomo and Li Jianting were left. Gumomo knew that Li Jianting deliberately sent Linger away. Gumomo also clearly felt his scrutiny and unfriendly look just now. Before Li Jianting could speak, she took the initiative and said, President Li specially sent your daughter away. Could it be that he wanted to talk about love with me? I have to say that this man is more manly than he was 5 years ago. But she is no longer the silly girl who only wanted to rely on him 5 years ago. Li Jianting frowned, and a strong sense of depression emanated from his whole body. You went to great lengths to create an encounter. Didn't you just want to use my daughter to get close to me? Gumomo found it funny. Could it be that Li Jianting was suffering from paranoid delusions? Seeing that she didn't answer, Li Jianting's momentum became even fiercer, and his eagle eyes seemed to see through her. I don't care who you are or what your purpose is. I warn you, stay away from me and my child. Don't even think of anything. Over the past few years, his beloved son and daughter have been like the apple of his eye. No matter how much he sacrifices, he must hold his 2 children in his heart. This woman dared to set her sights on his daughter. Ha! Gumomo finally understood that Li Jianting really had paranoid delusions, and his illness was serious. She sneered, her beautiful eyes full of disdain. So Li, don't think that just because you have a little money, all women will stick to you, narcissist. I, Gumomo, have no interest in you at all. However, I'm very interested in your child. Oh no, my child. Gumomo naturally kept this last sentence in her heart. But just the first 2 sentences made Li Jianting feel unhappy. Looking across the entire imperial capital, there are countless women who want to marry him. But this woman actually said that he is a narcissist? Not interested in him at all? Li Jianting was extremely angry, but he had no place to vent his anger. He could only hold his breath and said coldly, It's better if I don't see you again in the future. After saying that, he walked into the auction site without looking back. Gumomo looked at his resolute back and couldn't help but think of that night. At that time, this man was still very gentle. Why do you look so cold now? Could it be that he is only so gentle when he is coaxing a woman in bed? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but shook her shoulders and followed him into the auction site. Due to the special regulations of the auction, only gold members and above can bid for the finale item, so there are already a large number of people missing from the scene. On the podium, the host was demonstrating and introducing the purpose of Li Jianting's visit, the painkiller made by the Ghost Hand Doctor. This medicine was developed and made by the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor himself. It can treat all pains in the world, and it works very quickly. Once taken, the pain will be relieved within a minute. Everyone, please pay attention. It relieves the pain, not the pain relief effect of ordinary painkillers. Therefore, everyone should also understand why this medicine is presented to you as the finale of today. The host introduced incessantly, but in the audience, Li Jianting couldn't wait any longer. Before the starting price was announced, he raised the sign in his hand, 1 billion, full of confidence, powerful, and determined to win. The high price that Li Jianting called out stunned the host for a moment. After he reacted, he excitedly pounded his thigh. Bossly bid 1 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting price of this auction item is 50 million. Bossly actually raised it by 20 times. Is there anyone who bids higher than Bossly? What the host said is purely an occupational disease. Not to mention whether anyone dares to go against Li Jianting. Even if they really want to, spending 1 billion to bid for a painkiller is not something a normal person can do. 1 billion once. 1 billion twice, the host shouted excitedly on the stage. Li Jianting sat at a round table covered with a red tablecloth, his right hand placed on the tabletop, his bony fingers tapping lightly, looking steady and calm, with a kind of arrogance that was determined to win. 1 billion and 3. 1.5 billion. Just as the host raised the auction hammer and was about to make the final decision, Gumo raised the sign in her hand and casually shouted out a higher price. The host on the stage was stunned, and Li Jianting looked in the direction of the number plate. She sat lazily, her long brown hair casually tied up with a hairpin, a few scattered strands of hair draped against her neck, making her look sexy and elegant. She deliberately picked a small corner. If it weren't for the photo shoot, no one would have noticed her, including Li Jianting. Seeing that the woman whom he had just scolded was actually bidding against him in public, Li Jianting's face darkened and suddenly became cloudy. She also said she has no interest in herself. If you have no interest, would you snatch a painkiller from him at all costs? This was clearly intended to attract his attention. It's a pity that her efforts were in vain. In his heart, there is only Liuli from that night a few years ago. No other woman can ever think of him. Gumo met his angry eyes without disguising her anger, with a smile in the corner of her eyes, as if to say, "Thank you." In fact, she had not intended to take action, but when she thought about what Li Jianting had just said, she became angrier and angrier. The more I thought about it, the more aggrieved I felt, so I decided to confront him. She wanted to let Li Jianting know that not all women have smooth hair. Li Qingling, who had been sitting next to Li Jianting and was so bored that she was playing with a pen, was instantly excited when she heard Gumo's voice. Wow, it's the pretty ant. It turns out that the pretty ant is so rich. Chapter 9, Beautiful Annie. Linger loves you so much. Li Jianting's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and his fists holding the number plate were clenched. Under the host's dull gaze, he raised the sign and shouted in a terrifyingly low voice, 2 billion. 2 billion. Mr. Li bids 2 billion. The host's voice was no longer as passionate as before. After all, anyone could see that the smell of gunpowder at the scene was enough to blow the entire hotel into ruins. This was no longer an ordinary auction. Gumo glanced in the direction of Li Jianting. Her cold eyes were bright and moving, and she showed a determination not to give in. 2.5 billion. There were other people at the scene, but most of them had entered the venue in advance and did not see Gumo beating up Lin Wanner, so they did not know where Gumo came from. Seeing her going against Li Jianting again and again, voices of doubt followed. Where did this woman come from? How dare she openly challenge Master Ting? That's right. She's still offering 1.5 billion? Can she afford that? Is she just talking nonsense? Don't tell me it's some unknown Mr. Chun, Mr. Li, or Mr. Wang's mistress who's here to embarrass herself? Director Chun, who was standing by, was already sweating profusely upon hearing this. He wished he could step forward immediately and so shut the stinky mouths of these ignorant spectators. Little did they know that this petite, seemingly weak woman in front of them could change the world of the imperial capital with just the movement of a finger. To crush them is no different from crushing an ant. Fortunately, Gumo didn't care about their discussions at all and stared at Li Jianting with interest. He was seen raising the sign in anger and raising the price to 3 billion. 3 billion. What does this mean? An ordinary person cannot earn this much even if he works for 100 years without eating or drinking. This painkiller has already exceeded its value. Every subsequent bid was just Li Jianting confronting her. She looked calm and unhurried, holding up the sign. 3.5 billion. The host pinched his philtrum. This was probably the most terrifying bidding in his career. The starting price of 80 million has increased nearly 50 times. He now wished he could be fired by the association immediately. That way he wouldn't have to be caught between Gumo and Li Jianting, who was the economic ceiling of the imperial capital. Director Chin's face was as pale as paper, and the handkerchief he had used to wipe his sweat was almost soaked with water. Li Jianting's reputation in the imperial capital is unmatched, and anyone who meets him must be courteous to him. But in comparison, as someone who knew the inside story, he was more aware that Gumo was the big shot who could not be offended. Even Li Jianting, after knowing Gumo's true identity, would definitely try to please her. After much hesitation, he took out his mobile phone to ask the association, and was ordered to terminate the auction immediately. Everything should be based on Miss Gu's interest first. He staggered onto the stage, snatched the microphone from the host's hand, and said with a trembling voice, almost kneeling down to Gumo, Miss Gu, you don't have to pay so much. The association will give you this medicine for free, okay? Please don't bother us anymore. When Lianting heard this, his handsome features could no longer be described as ugly. What kind of identity does this Gumo have that could make Director Chun give up so many interests and hand over the auction items? Not even afraid of offending him? And those people who were questioning Gumo just now were also stunned. I can't believe that this person is actually a hidden big shot. Or is there a man behind this woman who is capable of competing with Mr. Ting? You have to know that the main association that hosts the charity auction is a non-governmental organization and is not subject to the influence or jurisdiction of any force. Even Lianting has no right to interfere. And they seem to value this woman, Gumo, very much. Seeing that Gumo didn't say anything, Director Chen assumed that she had acquiesced and quickly ordered his men to open the glass safe, take out the pills packed in a wooden box, and hand it to Gumo with both hands. Ms. Gu, this is a small gift from the association. Please accept it. Li Qingling, who was sitting next to Lianting, was like a little fangirl at this moment. She looked at her beautiful aunt with admiration and completely forgot what she was here for. The beautiful aunt is so cool, with a great appearance and a good figure. She is so respected. Even things that daddy needs to spend money to buy, she can get them for free. Why isn't the beautiful aunt her mommy? Thinking of this, Li Qingling supported her little face with one hand and pouted her mouth. Her aggrieved look was heartbreaking. Gumo glanced at the box. She had no interest in it at all. She just wanted to rub Lianting's arrogance. But since Director Chen gave it to her, she could accept it. She stood up and saw Li Qingling looking dejected. She thought she was unhappy because she lost the pills, so she waved to Qingling and said in a very soft voice, "Linger, come over here. I have something to tell you." When Li Qingling heard the beautiful aunt calling her mind buzzed and she immediately regained her energy. The beautiful aunt is calling me. She stretched her short legs and jumped off the chair. The hem of her pink skirt fluttered up and down with her footsteps, which was very cute. When she was almost in front of Gumo, she didn't slow down at all and rushed directly into her arms. Gumo also squatted down and caught her very tacitly, hugged her, and held her in her arms. The smile at the corners of her eyes spread, and she became a fascinating flower. "You little guy are quite heavy." Gumo stretched out her hand and hooked Li Qingling's nose. Like a young girl whose secrets were exposed, Li Qingling shyly buried her head in her chest. Gumo held her in one hand and took the pill from Director Chan with the other hand. "You just said that you came here specifically for this thing, and he never takes away what is good from others. Besides, you are so cute, and he will give it to you now." Li Qingling blinked her big round eyes twice, somewhat incredulous. "Pretty Annie? Did you just praise Linger?" Gumo was amused by her bizarre train of thought. It turned out that what made her happy was not the pillbox, but it was her words, "You are so cute." She rubbed her head lovingly. "No doubt about it. You are the cutest little fairy." Li Qingling finally reacted. She took the box with her little hands and held it in her arms, kicking her little feet excitedly. "Pretty Annie, you are not only beautiful, you are also very kind. Linger is a little fairy, and Pretty Annie is a big fairy. The little fairy really likes the big fairy super, 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 super." She used super 3 times in a row, but still felt it was not enough. She wrapped her lotus root-like arms around Gumo's neck, pouted her little mouth, and kissed her with a mamada. If you like this book and the 4 cute little babies, please remember to follow the author's homepage. I can receive updates about the author and the book as quickly as possible. Thank you. Asterisk 3. Epsilon asterisk. Chapter 10. Sneak back to find Mom. The child's lips were soft and tender, with a hint of milk fragrance, which instantly melted Gumo's heart, as if she was falling on soft clouds. Wherever her eyes looked, there was tenderness. How come her little cotton-padded jacket is so heartwarming and cute? Lianting, who was not far away, saw his daughter being held in the arms of a strange woman, and even kissing her actively. He was completely jealous. From childhood to adulthood, Linger has never been so close to anyone, including him. What is the charm of this woman that can make his daughter so obsessed with her? After the auction, Lianting took Linger home. Before leaving, Linger looked at Gumo reluctantly, looking back every few steps. Gumo felt extremely bitter as she watched her daughter's little figure walking further and further away. "Linger, wait a little longer. Mom will be reunited with you soon." In the car of the Maybach, Linger excitedly handed the wooden box in her hand to Lianting, her sparkling eyes full of boasting. Daddy here, this is a gift from your beautiful aunt. She particularly emphasized the word you, as if she was deliberately creating a good image for Gumo. Lianting took the box and said nothing. The purpose of his coming here this time was to get the painkillers from the ghost hand saint doctor, and Gumo must have seen through him. So she deliberately went against him to attract his attention. Give it as a gift? If she hadn't interfered, he would have been able to get this collection without any effort. The assistant held the steering wheel, looked at the box in the boss's hand, and asked tentatively, Master Ting, the medicine of the ghost hand saint doctor is really expensive. Lianting glanced at him sideways with a cold look in his eyes. The assistant was so scared that he covered his mouth with one hand. Send people to the black market to investigate the origins of the ghost hand saint doctor. Also, you must find a way to get his photo and contact information. Only he can perform the surgery on the young master. Lianting gave the order straightforwardly, then looked out the window with deep eyes, and one could vaguely feel a bit of melancholy. Lianting, I want all her information. The assistant was also aware of the young master's illness. Having been with Lianting for so many years, he has collected countless information on famous doctors. And every doctor who was invited in, after reading the young master's medical report, just sighed and shook his head. But they were not without any effect. At least, after the young master lost his temper, they all mentioned timidly, in this world, only the ghost hand doctor can guarantee that the operation will be foolproof. The ghost hand doctor is a mysterious doctor who has suddenly emerged in recent years. It is rumored that he does not have a fixed hospital where he works, and no one knows his true identity. He is like the living Buddha Jigong, active in places that people cannot predict or expect. If you want to meet him, unless he takes the initiative to find you, it will all depend on fate. His fame stems from a war on the border of a certain country. A military leader was shot, and the bullet was only 1 millimeter away from his heart valve. No doctor dared to guarantee that the bullet could be removed without any damage, and the leader's life could be guaranteed in the harsh operating environment without a ventilator. The doctors were helpless, and the soldiers were demoralized. And at this desperate moment, the ghost hand holy doctor appeared. Not only did he successfully remove the bullet without causing any harm to the patient, but during the operation, he even discovered that the leader had signs of a myocardial infarction and was able to cure his heart disease as well. Originally, this was just a simple story of a doctor saving a patient. However, after waking up, the leader sent out missing person notices all over the world, even offering a huge reward, hoping to find the ghost hand doctor to express his gratitude in person. However, the other party seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth, and there was no news of him since. Since then, the ghost hand doctor has become a godlike existence. Countless patients suffering from diseases in this world want to find him, but all in vain. Lianting certainly knew that it was not an easy task to find him and ask him to save his son. But no matter what, he would find a way to give it a try. Children are everything to him. As long as he can let them grow up healthy and happy, he is willing to do anything. On the quiet road, the sky was not kind, and a thunderstorm suddenly broke out. Raindrops as big as beans dripped in through the open window, making loud noises. Li Qingling sat in the back seat of the car, watching the rain getting heavier outside the window, and became inexplicably worried. The beautiful aunt seemed to come out alone. I don't know if she had an umbrella or whether she would get wet. Daddy, Linger wants to go to the bathroom. Linger can't hold it anymore. Linger suddenly unbuckled her seatbelt, lay on the back of the passenger seat, and said with a frown, Boss, there's a public toilet just up ahead. We'll be there soon. After the assistant parked the car, he immediately took out an umbrella from the trunk and prepared to take Linger to the bathroom. Lianting unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car without hesitation. I'll go. The assistant understood what he meant and handed him the umbrella, then went back to the car. Lianting held an umbrella in one hand, opened the car door, easily held Li Qingling in his arms, and walked to the public toilet with vigorous steps. Daddy, hurry up. Lianting put her down, afraid that the rain would wet her pink skirt and black leather shoes. So he quickly squatted down and put the umbrella over her head. You can only go in there by yourself. Daddy is waiting for you here. After you go in, you must always respond to Daddy, okay? Yeah. Linger nodded eagerly. Lianting handed the umbrella to her and patted her shoulder. Go. Linger held up an umbrella with her small body and looked at her father with some concern. Daddy, what are you going to do? You'll get wet in the rain. Daddy is an adult. It's okay for him to get a little wet. Okay. Linger's mind was full of her beautiful aunt, and she had no time to care about her father. She turned around and walked inside. Linger, is it dark in there? Are you scared? Lianting stood outside the door, his heart full of worry. It's not dark. Daddy, there is a light. Linger responded loudly. Linger, are you okay? Lianting called again. Soon. Only after hearing the response did he finally feel relieved. If there were other people around, they would notice that Lianting's thick eyebrows and deep eyes were always wrinkled together, and his angular and handsome face was full of worry. He was definitely a daughter's slave. After several minutes, there was no movement inside. Lianting called out twice. Linger? Linger? No one responded. He waited for another half a minute, but still his daughter didn't come out. He subconsciously felt that something was wrong, and without caring about the difference between men and women, he rushed directly into the women's restroom. Fortunately, there was no one else in the public toilet in this sparsely populated area. He knocked on the doors one by one, and when he found the last one, he was completely stunned. There is actually a broken hole behind the last door of this dilapidated public toilet. The size of this hole is just right for a Linger to pass through. Mo phone. Gather all your men immediately and find the young lady within half an hour. Chapter 11. Gumo takes Linger away. Li Qingling slipped out of the public toilet, walked back in the direction the car came from, and finally arrived at the hotel gate. The umbrella that Lianting gave her had a large frame and a large top. She held it up all the way, and her hands were sore. As she walked along, her black leather shoes got soaked with water, and her white socks were stained with small spots of mud. She rubbed them with her fingertips, but couldn't get them off, and she frowned. Pretty Annie won't dislike dirty Linger, right? At this moment, a person that Li Qingling hated extremely suddenly appeared in the elevator. Guan Shan. Guan Shan, who had just walked out of the elevator, also noticed her. Her hypocritical face suddenly became filled with happiness, and she walked towards her in high heels. After being kicked out by security today, she found that one of her earrings had fallen off during the tug-of-war. It was the one she had paid for with Lianting's card, and it was worth several million. Linger, why are you here? Did you come here to pick me up because I didn't come home? Guan Shan couldn't hide her excitement and opened her arms to hug Linger. Linger hasn't left yet. She must be waiting for me. Don't come over here. I hate you. I don't allow you to touch me. Linger stood in front of him with an umbrella with a look of resistance. Guan Shan was stunned, and the smile on her face disappeared instantly. Although she was extremely unhappy, she still managed an awkward smile on her face. Linger, what are you talking about? I'm going to be your mother in the future. How can you not be close to your mother? As she spoke, she took 2 steps forward, and Li Qingling immediately ran out of the hotel in disgust. Outside the door, the rain was pouring down like a string of beads, covering the entire sky and even the city with a thick layer of fog. Guan Shan followed him out, already a little angry. She didn't understand why these 2 little brats, Li Qingling and Li Zixiao, were so resistant to her. Is it really true that other people's children cannot be kept warm? Linger, stop making trouble and go back with your auntie. Your dad will be worried soon. Seeing that being soft was useless, she put on an adult attitude and tried to intimidate her with Lianting. Li Qingling was very clever, so how could she be frightened by her? She made a face at her. You are the only one who wants to marry my daddy. Let me tell you, Pretty Aunt is my mother. I came here specially to give her an umbrella. Pretty Aunt must not get caught in a drop of rain. Pretty Annie? Guan Shan looked around cautiously. Who is the Pretty Annie? My beautiful aunt also has the surname Gu. They all call her Miss Gu. But don't worry, it's definitely not you. Linger raised her chin, and her lively eyes flickered when she mentioned Gumomo. Miss Gu? Could it be Gumomo? Whenever Guan Shan thought about her, she felt so angry that her teeth itched. Gumomo, that bitch, not only exposed her for pretending to be someone else and sneaking into the auction in public, she even teamed up with Director Chen to kick her out, making her lose face. Now, he actually secretly met his own daughter and coaxed her around? She ran to Li Qingling angrily, grabbed her umbrella, and tried to snatch it away. Who told you to give an umbrella to other women? Somebody come. Someone is bullying a child. Someone is snatching a child's umbrella. Is this happening? Li Qingling refused to let go and kept pulling with Guan Shan while shouting loudly. Guan Shan didn't dare to use too much strength for fear of hurting her. It's not that he couldn't bear to do so, but if Li Qingling got injured, Lianting might eat her alive. Thinking of this, she stopped arguing. Linger, you better be obedient and come back with me right now. I don't have to tell your dad about this. Cough, cough. Linger grabbed her throat with her little hands and started coughing violently. The fair face turned purple in an instant. When Gu Shanshan saw this, she was immediately frightened out of her wits. Li Qingling has congenital asthma and cannot stand stimulation or cold. Just now, I was dragging the umbrella with her and accidentally pushed her into the rain. She must have caught a cold after getting wet. Gu Shanshan quickly dropped the umbrella in her hand and ran over. Linger, how are you? Li Qingling felt very uncomfortable, but she didn't want the concern of Gu Shanshan, the great witch, at all. Where's Pretty Annie? Pretty Annie, where are you? Linger misses you so much, I miss you so much. Linger needs you. At the same time, Gumo was sitting in a black Lincoln sedan and preparing to go back. Mr. Gu, the organization received a task today. It was issued by Lianting, the president of the Li Group. The content is to find all the information about the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor. On the other end of the phone came the formalized reporting voice of the organization's subordinates. Ghost Hand Saint Doctor? Gumo frowned. She didn't know what Lianting's purpose was in looking for the Ghost Hand Doctor. But this time when she came back, she just wanted to take her daughter away and didn't want to have any contact with this man again. Reject, she ordered without thinking. Understood, Mr. Gu. After hanging up the phone, Gumo closed her eyes again and prepared to take a nap. Liamo glanced outside the window and saw a man and a woman fighting each other. The man looked very much like the young woman who was beaten up by him at Gu Group that day. He muttered, Boss Gu Shanshan seems to be outside, and she's fighting with a little girl. Hearing this, Gumo raised her eyelids and sat up straight without thinking. She took off her sunglasses and rolled down the window. As expected, she saw Gu Shanshan using brute force to drag Linger into the taxi. Li Qingling, do you want to live? Come back with me quickly. Go back and take medicine. Gu Shanshan yelled hysterically, pulling Li Qingling's clothes and dragging her into the car. If anything happened to this little girl, and Li Jianting knew about it, he would definitely strangle her to death. Now she had to take Li Qingling back to take medicine and keep the matter secret while Li Jianting was still unaware of the situation. Linger coughed violently, but her little hands, which had turned pale, pressed tightly against the car door, and she refused to get in the car no matter what. Just as Gu Shanshan was about to exert force, she was suddenly grabbed by the back of the collar by a strong force, and she and the child were pulled out of the car. Liamo! Gumo shouted. Liamo immediately took Li Qingling, who was about to fall from Gu Shanshan's hands, and quickly ran to the platform where he would not be exposed to the rain. Seeing that the child was safe, Gumo no longer showed any mercy. He grabbed Gu Shanshan's hair with his 5 fingers, forced her face towards him, and slapped her. Gu Shanshan was beaten so hard that she saw stars and several bright red finger marks appeared on her face. After seeing clearly that the person who hit her was Gumo, she covered her face in disbelief. Gumo, you dare to hit me? What? Didn't I hit you? Or was the punishment last time too light? Didn't it teach you a lesson? Gumo's cold eyes were filled with anger, and every word she spoke was squeezed out from between her teeth. Gu Shanshan, how dare she be so rude to her daughter? A slap on the face was too light. She wished she could be torn into pieces. If it weren't for her worry about Linger, Gumo really wanted to beat Gu Shanshan so hard that she couldn't take care of herself. Liamo, take Linger to the car first. Gu Shanshan rushed towards Liamo like crazy. Stop. Don't even think about taking Linger away. She is the daughter that Jianting and I want to raise. You can't take her away. Before she could run 2 steps, Gumo kicked her in the back. With a splash, Gu Shanshan fell into a mud pit full of dirty water. His mouth hit the ground, and he instantly drank a mouthful of dirty water. Cough, cough. She coughed loudly a few times and touched her face with her hand. Her delicate makeup was all messy and dirty. She tried to get up from the ground, but her feet suddenly sank, and Gumo pushed her back to the ground, making her kneel down. Gu Shanshan, you'd better pray that Linger doesn't do anything, otherwise I will make you pay double. Gumo didn't want to waste time with her, so she turned around and got in the car. Chapter 12. Mom Linger misses you so much. By the time Gu Shanshan reacted, the car had already started and the accelerator was stepped on. Gumo, come back here. Where are you taking Linger? How dare you take her away? Jianting, and I will not let you go. Gu Shanshan got up and chased for a few meters, but she was no match for 4 legs and soon collapsed on the ground due to exhaustion. Gumo saw her extremely miserable appearance in the rearview mirror and anxiously hugged her unconscious daughter tightly. Inside the Maybach, the rain was still falling outside the window. Cold air floated out from the air conditioning vents. Li Jianting, sitting in the back seat of the car, looked like a huge ice sculpture. The low pressure emanating from his body was no less than that of the air conditioning refrigeration system. Assistant MO phone couldn't help but shudder, holding the phone that had just been hung up tremblingly, stammering and not daring to speak. The people sent out have checked the area within a radius of more than 10 kilometers one by one, but they couldn't find the young lady. Seeing the gloomy face of the young master, he really didn't know how to start. Where is Linger? Have you found her? Li Jianting obviously had no intention of giving him a chance to catch his breath. He cast a sharp gaze on him, his tone filled with rare anxiety and worry. The young master never showed his sadness or joy on his face, but he took the affairs of the young master and young lady more important than anything else. No, I didn't find it, MO Feng replied tremblingly. A bunch of trash. Li Jianting cursed, opened the car door, and was about to get out to look for it when the cell phone in his pocket rang. Looking at the three big words, Guan Shan, constantly jumping on the screen of his mobile phone, he frowned, a little unhappy. But in the end, he retracted the leg he had already stepped out, got into the car, and answered the phone. What's the matter? Tell me. Li Jianting's voice sounded a little impatient. Jianting Linger. Linger was snatched away by my sister. The fact that I picked up Linger that year shows that there is a deep connection between Linger and me. If Linger was snatched away, I would not live either. On the other end of the phone, Guan Shan pretended to cry anxiously, with the sound of rain in her ears. Over the past 5 years, Li Jianting had long suspected that she was the one who took Linger away, and had tried several times to find out the whereabouts of Linger's mother from her. But when she snatched the child from Gumo, she didn't leave any evidence. No matter how much Li Jianting suspected, he had no solid evidence, so naturally he couldn't do anything to her. So in the past 5 years, she could only get close to the Li family by relying on the fact that she was the one who brought the child to the Li family. Your sister? Yes. Her name is Gumo. You haven't seen her. Many years ago, she was kicked out of the house by my father because of her immoral private life. Li Jianting frowned. Gumo? It was her. Guan Shan was terrified when she heard that there was no sound on the other end of the phone, fearing that Li Jianting might have noticed something. Jianting, please look for our daughter as soon as possible. My sister has never liked me. After she knew that Linger and I had a good relationship, she wanted to use Linger to threaten me. I'm really worried that she would take revenge on Ling. This was the only solution she could think of after racking her brains. Anyway, Li Jianting didn't know what happened between her and Li Qingling. When the time came, she just had to refuse to admit it and insist that it was Gumo that caused Linger's trouble. Li Jianting had already hung up the phone. His stern face was shrouded in a shadow. When he heard that Linger was with Gumo, he actually breathed a sigh of relief for no reason. He always felt that Gumo would not hurt Linger by taking her away. The Li family ranked first in the imperial capital's wealth list. He had seen too many women who were willing to sell their dignity to seduce him for money. Gumo's actions of getting close to Linger also made him suspicious. Logically, he should kick Gumo away like he did to other women. But for some reason, he couldn't bear to be cruel to Gumo. Instead, he felt an urgent need to get closer to her. This feeling is so strange. Li Jianting pinched his brows, threw away these unreasonable thoughts in his mind, and immediately instructed Mo Feng, the co-pilot. Search the entire city for Gumo's residence. Make sure you find the young lady before tomorrow morning. Asterisk. The Lincoln sedan accelerated all the way into the Jiuping in the imperial capital. Jiuping is a first-line luxury residence located on the seaside of the imperial capital, with its back to Lahai and facing the commercial center in the most prime location of the imperial capital. The villa has a large floor-to-ceiling windows, and its own garden and swimming pool, allowing you to enjoy the night view of the imperial capital and the coastal scenery from all angles. There are only 88 houses in the entire community. If you want to live here, you not only need to be rich, but also have power, identity, and social status. Even the owners are strictly divided into different levels. Liamo took out Gumo's owner card, which was the highest VVLP level. The security guard saw the card and came out of the security booth in person, bowed deeply, and said, "Dear owner, welcome home." After the car parked in the garage, Gumo carefully picked up Linger and took the elevator to the 22nd floor. The decoration style of Jiuping is basically the same, all noble and elegant, with modern black, white, and gray as the standard. As soon as she entered the room, Gumo immediately shouted to the air, "Turn on the air conditioner." Then, a mechanical yet gentle voice came from the room. According to your body temperature, the air conditioner has been adjusted to the most comfortable temperature for the human body. Master, the little master in your arms has an asthma attack, and the physical condition is dangerous level 3 stars. It is recommended to use special medicine as soon as possible. As soon as he finished speaking, a cabinet in the living room opened automatically. It was Li Mo's first time to visit Gumomo's house, and he was completely stunned by this anthropomorphic high-tech product. What are you standing there for? Help me get the medicine from the cabinet. On the third shelf of the cabinet, there's the special medicine for asthma. Gumomo saw that he was still in a daze and scolded him harshly. Liamo finally reacted and quickly ran to the cabinet to search around. It's not that Gumomo likes to order people around, but the little one in her arms has been holding her little finger with his cold little hand since she put him in the car, and he refuses to let go. Both she and Linger were caught in the rain, and now she could only use a dry towel to wipe her soft hair over and over again. Fortunately, the air conditioner in the room was warm enough, and it dried quickly. It was not until this moment that Gumomo had time to take a good look at her daughter's appearance. When Li Qingling fell asleep, her eyelashes were like a small brush, and the light and shadow left a patch of gray under her eyes. Because of her illness, her skin was pale, and her cherry-like mouth trembled slightly. Such a delicate appearance made her feel distressed, and with her free hand, she carefully stroked her pale little face. The sleeping daughter seemed to feel her touch. Her little lips opened and closed, and she murmured in a baby voice, "Mom Linger misses you so much. Mom Linger misses you so much." Chapter 13, The Taste of Mom. When Gumomo heard her daughter's unconscious word mom, her eyes instantly became moist. "Mr. Gu, the medicine is here." Liamo followed the instructions and brought the therapeutic medicine specially made by Gumomo. In fact, Liamo was also shocked by the special medicine hidden by Gumomo. The cabinet was filled with treasures that countless wealthy people could not buy with money. Gumomo turned her head and quietly wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes before taking the pill from his hand. This medicine can effectively relieve any sudden respiratory diseases. Once taken, the symptoms will be alleviated a lot within 10 minutes. Gumomo herself hates taking medicine, so the medicines she specially makes are all coated with sugar, so they are not bitter. She carefully placed the medicine next to Li Qingling's mouth, but said softly, "Baby, be good, take the medicine. It will be fine after you take the medicine." Linger pouted, but after tasting the sweet taste on the tip of her tongue, she opened her mouth very cooperatively and swallowed the medicine. Liamo stood aside and inexplicably also breathed a sigh of relief. "Okay, you go back. I can take care of her myself." Gumomo picked up her daughter and walked towards the bedroom. Liamo nodded and said goodbye, then politely stepped back to a safe distance before turning around and leaving. The special medicine took effect quickly. Linger's brows, which were originally furrowed due to discomfort, gradually relaxed, and the color on her face slowly returned. Gumomo returned to the bedroom, wiped her body with a hot towel, and changed her into a clean set of pajamas. The pure white background with the small strawberry pattern is very suitable for Linger, and these clothes were prepared for her by Gumomo. Back then, Gu Shan took her child away, and she never forgot her daughter for a moment. Whenever she bought clothes for Jing Shing and passed by a girl's store, she couldn't help but stop and buy a set for her daughter, whom she had never met. Before I knew it, half of the closet was filled with stuff. In the second half of the night, Li Qingling's eyelashes trembled slightly, and she slowly opened her eyes. Looking at the unfamiliar environment in front of her, she felt extremely familiar with it. Turning her head, she saw the beautiful aunt lying on the side of her bed, sleeping soundly with her head tilted to the side and resting her head on her arm. She stretched out her little hand and brushed aside the strands of hair in front of her forehead, wanting to see her more clearly. Such a subtle movement still woke up Gumomo, who usually had a light sleep. "Linger, are you awake? Are you still feeling uncomfortable?" Gumomo stood up and touched the temperature of her forehead with her hand. Her asthma was relieved after she took specific medicine, but she had a slight fever because of being caught in the rain. Gumomo had been busy taking care of the baby all night and was really tired. She took a nap and unexpectedly fell asleep. Fortunately, the fever has subsided now, and after a good night's sleep, the child's mental state has improved a lot. "Beautiful aunt? Linger is fine. Thank you for bringing Linger back." Li Qingling smiled so sweetly that it was almost tearing at the seams, crawled out of the quilt, and snuggled into her arms. This child is like a particularly clingy little kitten. His voice is so soft and crisp that it can easily touch the softest part of people's hearts. Didn't you leave with your father? Why did you come back? Gumo couldn't understand how Lianting could let such a young child go back to the hotel alone. If she hadn't happened to see it today, who knows what would have happened to her daughter? Did this man really take good care of her baby Ling? Li Qingling was carefree, looking at her with her big watery eyes, and said in a brisk tone, "I'm here to bring an umbrella to the pretty aunt. It's raining, and Linger is worried that you don't have an umbrella." Gumo was touched. She didn't expect that her daughter cared about her so much. "Don't do this next time. It's very dangerous, you know." She rubbed her little head lovingly. "Linger knows. But Linger is worried about Auntie Piaoyang and Mrs. Annie Piaoyang. If Annie Piaoyang doesn't want Linger to run around like this, then can you marry my daddy and be my mommy?" This was the second time Linger had said this. Of course, Gumo wanted to be her mother, even in her dreams. However, she didn't want to have anything to do with Lianting anymore. Marry him? It's impossible. Thinking of this, she turned her head away and did not answer her daughter's question. Seeing that she didn't say anything, Li Qingling knew that she might be reluctant, so she changed the way she asked the question. "Pretty aunt, did you see the old witch who wanted to be my mother today? She also wants to marry my dad and become my stepmother." When Guan Shan was mentioned, Gumo's expression suddenly turned from sunny to cloudy, and she said coldly, "She is not worthy of being your mother." Knowing that Pretty Annie didn't have a good impression of the old witch, Li Qingling suddenly felt much happier. She squinted her eyes and said playfully, "Pretty Annie, I like you better than her." Gumo understood her hint, but she knew clearly what her purpose was. Sooner or later, she would take her daughter away, and she didn't want to give her any hope. "Okay, be good. Take a rest first. We can talk about this issue later." Then he tucked the quilt for her and ended the conversation hastily. Li Qingling lowered her eyes somewhat disappointedly, but quickly adjusted herself. When Gumo was about to get up, she grabbed her fingertips and shook her pitifully twice. "Pretty aunt, can you sleep with Linger tonight? Linger is afraid of the dark and can't sleep alone." In fact, Gumo also wanted to sleep with her daughter. Over the years, she had fantasized more than once about being able to snuggle in bed with her daughter and fall asleep listening to her breathing. So, after Linger made this request, she agreed without thinking. "That's great. That's great. Linger can sleep with a beautiful aunt." The little guy was half lying on the bed, his two little feet swinging up and down under the quilt, and he was so happy that he almost jumped up. Gumo also smiled, lifted the quilt, and crawled in, resting her little head on her hand and lying on her side beside her. Linger held her arms and kept pressing in her chest, her soft hair like feathers, passing through her heart. "Beautiful Annie, you smell so good." Linger sniffed with enjoyment, as if she wanted to absorb the smell into her body and preserve it forever. Gumo smiled faintly. "Really? What's the smell?" Linger thought for a moment and said without hesitation, "It tastes like my mother's." Her back stiffened, and it felt like something exploded in her heart. In order to suppress this emotion, she lowered her head and left a good-night kiss on her daughter's brow. "Be good, go to sleep." "Pretty Annie, can you sing a song to please Ling?" "Okay." Gumo lowered her throat. "It will rain and then stop. This is an unchanging truth." She had a sweet voice and patted her daughter's back as she sang. Soon, the sound of gentle slumber could be heard in my arms. She lowered her eyes and looked at her daughter sleeping. This scene had appeared in her dreams countless times. And today, I finally got what I wanted. Chapter 14, Daddy is here. After Guan Shan finished her complaint with Lianting, no one answered the call when she called Lianting's cell phone. She had no choice but to go home and change her clothes. She sent someone to find out where Gumo was currently living and took a taxi there early the next morning. She was worried that if she didn't go with Lianting to find the child, Gumo would blame her again, and she would be doomed. When she arrived at Jupin Mingyuan, she walked to the door and was about to go in when she was stopped by the security guard. "Miss, please show me your owner's ID." Guan Shan looked embarrassed. She was not from this community, so how could she have an owner's certificate? But she vaguely remembered that Lianting had once bought a house here. So, she pretended to be calm and said, "My fiancé is Lianting from the imperial capital. You've heard of him, right? He has a property here. Hurry and open the door. I want to go in." But the security guards of Jupin Mingyuan are no pushovers. Who among those living here isn't a well-known and influential figure? They only recognize certificates, not people. "Excuse me, Mississippi. If you don't have the owner's ID, and we haven't received any news from the owner saying that someone is visiting, then I can't let you in." This was the first time that Guan Shan was turned away by a security guard. She angrily pointed at the other person's nose and cursed. "I'm telling you, I'm Lianting's future wife. If you dare to offend me, I'll make sure you can't survive in the capital, believe it or not." The security guard remained calm and said, "Excuse me, miss, please go back." Guan Shan was so angry that she was half dead, when suddenly she saw a black Maybach driving in the traffic lane at the side. That license plate number belongs to Lianting. She ran over ecstatically and slammed the car window. "Lianting, Lianting, it's me. I'm Shan. In the car, Lianting had been looking for his daughter all night and finally determined Gumomo's address. He took a short nap while rushing here, but was woken up by the sound outside the window and was very dissatisfied. He rolled down the window, his brows a little tired. "What are you doing here?" Guan Shan covered her chest and squeezed out a tear. "I'm worried about Linger. I called you several times, but you didn't answer. When I found out that my sister lived here, I rushed here immediately, but..." However, she was stopped outside the gate of the community by an ungrateful security guard. Naturally, she found it difficult to talk about such things. Lianting naturally didn't want to take her with him, but he knew that Guan Shan loved to pester him the most. Last time he refused to take her, she lay on the front of his car and attracted the traffic police. So he told the phone to unlock the car door. "Get in the car." Guan Shan immediately smiled, opened the car door, and got in. Lianting was also a VVLP owner of Jiuping Mingyuan, and the car passed smoothly. The security guard stood at the door to see him off, and Guan Shan rolled down the window and responded with a haughty expression. Mo Feng, who was sitting in the driver's seat, happened to see her expression and immediately frowned. He saw from a distance the situation where Guan Shan was stopped outside the door just now. Now, after getting into Mr. Gu's car, he began to show off. This Guan Shan is really not worthy of being in the upper class. In the morning, after Gumomo woke up, she went to the kitchen and cooked some vegetable porridge. Linger had a fever last night, so her mouth must have tasted bland. Vegetable porridge with a little bit of salt could improve her appetite. Linger in the bedroom smelled the fragrance of rice and ran out barefoot. "Wow, beautiful Annie, can you cook?" Looking at the porridge already served on the table, her eyes widened in surprise. Seeing that she was barefoot, Gumomo did not respond to her words. Instead, she immediately washed her hands and carried her to the dining table and sat her down. "Why did you come out barefoot? What if you catch a cold again?" Gumomo pretended to be angry and pinched her little face, but her movements were very gentle and her tone was rare and doting. The porridge cooked by the beautiful aunt was so delicious that Linger couldn't help but forget it for a moment. "Report to the master. There are 2 strange visitors in the elevator. They are about to arrive. Please ask if we can stop their passage." A robotic female voice said nervously above the living room. Immediately afterwards, the TV was turned on, and the figures of Lianting and Guan Shan appeared on the screen. When Linger saw her father, her eyes lit up, but then when she saw Guan Shan beside her, her face suddenly fell. Gumomo noticed her slight change in mood and reached out to rub her head comfortingly. "Don't be afraid. Auntie is here. If you want to go back, go with your father. If you don't want to go back, you can stay at Annie's place for a few days." Linger smiled instantly and nodded vigorously. Out of selfishness, Gumomo did not want to return her daughter to them, but she also knew that now was not the time to take her daughter away. After all, she has lived with Lianting for so long, and it takes some time for her to adapt. "Let them in." Gumomo ordered the system. "This system was designed by my son Jing Shing and can monitor and control all situations in the house and the elevator. Of course, when personal privacy is involved, the system will automatically enter sleep mode." She agreed to enter, and after Lianting and Guan Shan reached the floor, the system automatically opened the door and let them in. Gumomo was too lazy to pay attention to them. Thinking that her daughter might be taken away by Lianting soon, she cherished the time they had alone together even more. She turned to her daughter and said gently, "Annie, can you feed me some porridge?" "Great, great. Beautiful Annie, feed Linger." Li Qingling danced with joy. Gumomo sat at the dining table, held her daughter in her arms, picked up the warm porridge on the table, scooped a small spoonful, and carefully brought it to her mouth. Linger also cooperated very well. She opened her mouth and ate it in one bite. "Beautiful Annie, the porridge you cooked is so delicious. If it tastes good, drink more." Gumomo scooped another spoonful. At the same time, Lianting and Guan Shan also entered the room. The man stood at the entrance, looking at his daughter being held in Gumomo's arms, looking well-behaved and docile, and his back suddenly stiffened. What on earth did this woman do to make her daughter listen to her so much? Moreover, Linger has never liked close contact with others. Since she was 3 years old, she has been sleeping alone. Now he actually spent a night with this woman? He felt a little warm in his heart, but when he saw Linger's fitted pajamas, it seemed like she had prepared them long ago. Lianting's relaxed brows furrowed into a frown, and his handsome face was tinged with a hint of coldness. He was still careless. It seemed that this woman had been planning to attack his daughter for a long time. Guan Shan was so angry when she saw this scene that smoke came out of her nostrils. She pointed at Gumomo and cursed. "What are you feeding Ling?" Chapter 15. Linger wants mommy, not daddy. "Are you blind? Can't you see?" Gumomo replied lazily and continued to feed Linger porridge. "If you have anything to say, wait until the child is full." Guan Shan was so annoyed by her that she couldn't say a word. She hid behind Lianting in anger. Lianting saw that his daughter was eating so well and he couldn't bear to disturb her. So he just stood there and waited until Gumomo finished feeding her the last spoonful of porridge before he walked over. "Linger, be good and come home with daddy." Lianting stretched out his hand and tried to take his daughter away from Gumomo's arms. Li Qingling subconsciously dodged backwards, her hands tightly grasping the corner of Gumomo's clothes, and shook her head in resistance. "Daddy, Linger, it doesn't want to go home. Linger wants to stay with the beautiful aunt." Lianting just felt a headache. What kind of magic power did this woman have? It seems that we have to hurry up and find Lioli. Otherwise, what if Linger no longer recognizes Lioli as her mother? He bent down and coaxed her gently. "Linger, you don't even want your daddy anymore?" Huh? Linger pouted proudly. Linger would rather have mommy than daddy. Lianting. There is not a bit of dignity left as a dad. Guan Shan came forward and added fuel to the fire. "Sister, I know you don't like me, but I have watched Linger grow up since she was a child, and Linger is my sweetheart. When you took her away yesterday, she got caught in the rain and had an asthma attack. Do you know that you almost killed her? Although you are my sister, if you dare to hurt Linger in the slightest, I will fight you to the death." Gumomo couldn't help but sneered. "Ha, what a frame-up. If she hadn't happened to meet her yesterday, even if Guan Shan had used brute force to bring Linger back home, she wouldn't have been able to cure Linger's asthma without going to the hospital. Now, she actually attributed all this to herself?" Before Gumomo could open her mouth to refute, Li Qingling, who was standing by, became dissatisfied when she heard Guan Shan slandering the beautiful aunt. Her face turned red. "You're lying. Pretty Annie didn't cause my asthma attack. It was obviously your fault. Pretty Annie took me home, took good care of me, and sang to me to sleep. Pretty Annie is the best person in the world. I won't let you wrongly accuse her." Lianting was a little jealous. Linger had never defended him like this. Guan Shan seemed to have suffered a great injustice. "Linger, do you know what you were saying? Annie has watched you grow up since you were a child. How can you help outsiders?" "I like beautiful aunt. I want beautiful aunt to be my mother," Li Qingling said without thinking. "Linger, be good and don't talk nonsense," Lianting reminded in a gentle voice. "Linger's mother can only be Lioli. No matter what the cost, he must find Lioli." Guan Shan was afraid that Lianting would let Gumomo go, so she quickly added, "Lianting, no matter what, it is a fact that Gumomo took Linger away." When Gumomo heard this, she couldn't help but find it ridiculous. "You keep saying that it was me who took Linger away. Then why don't you explain to him why I took her away?" "Huh?" Gumomo raised her eyelids. The seemingly innocuous question made Guan Shan turn pale instantly. She stammered as she explained, "What is there to say? It's because you're jealous of me." Gumomo's eyebrows were curved, and she was full of charm. She asked calmly, "I'm jealous of you? What am I jealous of you?" "You are jealous that I can associate with the Leaf family, and that I am on good terms with the Leaf family because of Ling. But you don't have such a good life." Guan Shan. The smile in Gumomo's eyes froze in an instant. Her eyes, as bright as stars, seemed to fall into a glacier, and the cold light shone directly on her cheek. "I gave you face." Guan Shan was stunned for a few seconds, and the expression on her face was so ugly that it could not be described. The reason why the elders of the Li family regarded her as a benefactor was because she brought Li Qingling and Li Zixiao to the Li family. Only the elders of the Li family knew about this. In order to protect the two children's young hearts from being hurt, they never told the two children that they were picked up. It can be said that Gu Shanshan's good luck was gained by stealing Gu Momo's child. Gu Momo picked up the phone on the table, flipped to a video Mo phone sent her yesterday, and handed it to Lianting. President Li can take this opportunity to appreciate what she has done. The reason why Gu Momo did not broadcast the video on the TV screen was that she did not want to cause secondary harm to her daughter. Lianting narrowed his eyes slightly and took the phone. After having a daughter, he also got used to turning off the volume and clicking the play button. In the video, Gu Shanshan was like a madman who had lost her mind, frantically dragging Linger into the car. Linger's pale face was full of resistance. Her little body was trembling, and she was coughing in pain. Lianting's heart seemed to be strangled by a rope, and he felt so uncomfortable that he couldn't breathe. He couldn't watch any more of the video before it was over. The hand holding the phone dropped to his thigh, and he looked at Gu Shanshan with eyes as sharp as a sword and as black as ink, revealing a chilling, murderous intent. Although Gu Shanshan didn't know what the content of the video was, seeing Lianting so angry, she guessed that it must be related to what happened yesterday. She quickly stepped forward, grabbed the cuff of his suit, and begged humbly, "Lianting, please believe me. I really didn't hurt Ling." Lianting's face was frighteningly cold. "Gu Shanshan, I don't care what the Li family elders think of you, but I have already given you some money, and the matter of that year has been settled. If you appear in front of my daughter again, no matter how much the Li family elders think of you, I will make sure you don't get away with it." The icy and piercing sound made Gu Shanshan feel as if her head was struck by lightning. Lianting had suspected her for the past 5 years, but he had no evidence. After what happened tonight, wouldn't Lianting be even more suspicious of her? "Lianting, please don't be like this. If I really wanted to hurt Linger, I wouldn't have risked my life to save Linger from her biological mother." Unexpectedly, as soon as she finished speaking, Lianting's face suddenly turned cold. Those hawk-like black eyes were terrifyingly cold. Gu Shanshan was also frightened and seemed to not understand what she had said wrong just now. Lianting's aura was cold and stern. Linger's mother would never be someone who would disregard her child's life or death. "This is the last time I'll hear you say something like this. Otherwise, even if the elders of the Li family come forward in person, they will not be able to protect you." His words made Gu Momo stunned. Does he just believe her? Lianting reached out, took away her hand that was grabbing the corner of his clothes with disgust on his face, and walked to Linger. Gu Shanshan felt hopeless and slumped to the ground. "Linger, be good. It's Daddy's fault. Come home with Daddy." Lianting looked at his daughter's face, which had recovered, but he still felt heartbroken. Linger wants to stay with the beautiful aunt. "Daddy, just let Linger stay with the beautiful aunt for a few days." Li Qingling buried her head in Gu Momo's chest, holding her and refusing to let go. Lianting patiently coaxed her a few more times. "Linger, Daddy promises you that I will bring you here to play often in the future, but now, you go home with Daddy first." "No, no, no." Linger doesn't want to go home. Linger wants the beautiful aunt. Li Qingling suddenly became agitated. Chapter 16. Daddy, you've been tricked. Lianting didn't dare to persuade her any further, as Linger's asthma could not withstand the slightest stimulation. But he just didn't understand why Linger had such a strong dependence on Gu Momo. Just when things were at a stalemate, Gu Momo's cell phone suddenly rang. She turned her head and clicked on the text message. The content inside made her pupils tighten suddenly. "Boss Gu, Lianting's hacker team has found the location of the ghost hand saint doctor. This news will reach him soon. Please be careful." Gu Momo had never expected that Lianting would act so quickly. Looking at the little girl in her arms, she was reluctant to let her go, but the matter at hand was so urgent that she really couldn't continue to stalemate with them. She grabbed Linger's armpit and turned her in front of her. Looking at her pink and tender little face, he advised with some regret, "Linger, listen to your father and go home first, okay? When you miss your aunt in the future, come to see her. You are a good child, and you won't make your family worry, right?" Li Qingling, who had been stubborn, frowned in embarrassment when she heard the beautiful aunt say that. "Although I was very reluctant, I thought about leaving a particularly good impression on the beautiful aunt and making her feel that I was a good child." She bit her lower lip and said reluctantly, "Okay, Linger, go home with Dad." Lianting, who had been frowning, frowned even more when he saw that Gu Momo had coaxed Linger with just a few words. He doesn't listen to his own father, but listens to an outsider? He was really helpless and angry. Fortunately, his daughter was willing to go home. He said nothing, picked up Linger and walked out. The little girl turned her head away from her father's arms and said goodbye reluctantly. "Pretty auntie, Linger will miss you." And he will miss Linger too. Bye. Seeing this, Shan quickly got up from the ground and chased after him. Before leaving, she did not forget to glare at Gumo fiercely. Gumo didn't want to pay attention to her. After they left, she immediately rushed back to her room and searched through all the clothes and bags she had worn yesterday. Sure enough, a tracker was found in the bag. This bag is a limited edition that a friend of mine from overseas got after waiting for several days. When this friend suddenly fell ill, she saved her, and the other party also learned of her identity as the Ghost Hand Holy Doctor. Although the two have not met since then, they have maintained a relationship as netizens because they can chat with each other. It must be Lianting's hacker subordinates who found clues about the express delivery and followed the clues to put the tracker into this bag in order to lock down the identity of the Ghost Hand Doctor. Lianting had just walked to the elevator door with his daughter in his arms when Shan followed him out. Jianting, wait for me, wait for me. Lianting stopped, not really to wait for her, but to wait for the elevator. She ran out of breath, holding her chest and gasping for breath. Jianting, can I ride in your car with you? She spoke sincerely, but Lianting did not respond. Instead, Li Qingling in his arms spoke first. Only mommy can sit in the passenger seat of daddy's car, and you are not Linger's mommy. Besides, if brother knew that you sat in daddy's car, brother would dislike you. Linger's serious words completely dispelled Shan's idea. Lianting also followed his words and said coldly, "Did you hear it clearly?" As soon as he finished speaking, the elevator arrived. Lianting walked in holding his daughter, ignoring Shan, who was still in a daze, and closed the elevator door. Shan looked at the indicator screen and saw that the elevator floor was constantly dropping, feeling extremely angry. It's all Gumo's fault. She must have said something that made Li Qingling resist her so much. That bitch. She had already left. Why did she come back to snatch the child from her? She turned her head and stared at the closed door, her nails clenched so tightly that they almost dug into her flesh. Lianting walked out of the elevator holding the child and was about to get in the car when Mo Feng, who was sitting in the driver's seat, ran down in a hurry, very excited. "Boss Li, the hacker team just sent a message saying that they have locked down the location of the Ghost Hand Doctor, and it's in this building. What's the exact location?" Not daring to delay for a moment, Lianting picked up the child and walked back. Mo Feng followed closely with a tablet in hand. "The tracker is currently moving. I think the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor must have noticed something, but as long as we follow his movement, we will definitely be able to find him." Mo Feng said this and took the initiative to run to the front to lead the way. In the monitoring system, the little red dot was moving wildly, sometimes here, sometimes there, but fortunately it did not leave the community. 2 adults and 1 child followed the small red dot on the map and came to the children's leisure area of Jupin Mingyuan. There are swings, slides, and seesaws for children to play on. When Linger saw these, she was extremely happy. She twisted her body restlessly in Lianting's arms, wanted to go down and play with those other children. Lianting had no choice but to comfort her softly. "Linger, be good. Play with me next time. Daddy has something important to do now." "Okay." Linger lowered her head unhappily. Mo Feng began to check the people on the scene one by one, according to the information displayed on the tablet. The more he checked, the more headache he felt. Suddenly, an alarm sounded on the tablet, which meant that the Ghost Hand Doctor should be less than 3 meters away from them. Lianting naturally heard the voice, but when he looked around, there was clearly only a group of children. Could it be that the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor is just a little brat? Just when they were at a loss, Li Qingling suddenly saw a hat chihuahua peeing and leaving a mark in the flowers nearby. And on its body, there is a small square with a flashing red dot. "Daddy, look, that dog's body is glowing." Lianting looked in the direction she pointed and saw the tracker on Hatuchi at a glance. His handsome face suddenly turned dark. Mo Feng also saw it and hurried over to confirm it. As soon as he got closer, the tablet issued a more urgent alarm. "Okay, no need to confirm this time. It's the one they put in the demon hand cloth bag. But how could it appear on a dog? Bossly, we seem to have been fooled." Lianting's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, with an angry expression that said, "I know. You don't need to remind me." Chapter 17. My own daughter. I should spoil her myself. Linger also said happily, "Daddy, you have been tricked, Daddy. You are so stupid." Lianting. "Forget it. She is my precious daughter. I can only pamper her." His gloomy, handsome face immediately softened, and his voice was gentle. "Yes, Daddy was wrong. Daddy is a big fool. I won't make the same mistake next time. The corners of Mo Feng's mouth twitched, and he felt a little envious and jealous inside. Oh, is this what it feels like to be favored by the CEO? He also wants to be favored by Master Ting. I have to say, Mr. Ting is really hypocritical. Ha! SK Group President's Office. Gu Jingxing woke up in a small cubicle behind the office. When he walked out of the cubicle, he saw that the office was empty. Mommy didn't come home last night? Did something happen? The more Gu Jingxing thought about it, the more worried he became. He ran to Gu Momo's desk, took off his shoes, climbed onto the office chair, half bent over the computer, and turned on the home surveillance system. As luck would have it, the system just happened to capture Guan Shan sneaking around her doorstep. He frowned and zoomed in the surveillance system's view, and saw that she was stuffing something under the carpet. Humph! Gumomo, you've made me suffer so much since you came back. I will never let you off easily. While cursing, Guan Shan grabbed a handful of thumbtacks from the box at her feet and hid them one by one under the doormat. This time, I will make you feel the pain I felt when I was beaten that day. Guan Shan smiled coldly. Little did they know that this scene had already been seen clearly by Gu Jingxing on the other side of the surveillance camera. Although Gu Jingxing had never met Guan Shan and didn't know what the conflict between Guan Shan and his mother was, every time his mother saw news about her, her eyes would immediately turn cold and her whole body would exude a strange aura. And now, this woman actually laid so many thumbtacks on the ground outside the house, trying to hurt Mommy. The person that Mommy hates is indeed not a good person. Gu Jingxing suddenly had an idea, and his fingers kept tapping on the keyboard, deciding to teach this bad woman a lesson on behalf of his mommy. After Guan Shan put all the thumbtacks in place, she threw the empty box into the trash can and walked into the elevator as if nothing had happened. Standing in the elevator, the mirror-like elevator door reflected her beautiful face. Her eyelashes were a little blurry because she had just grabbed Lianting and cried. She moved her body, put her face closer to the door, and began to fix her makeup. Thinking that Gu Momo's feet would be pierced by the thumbtacks on the ground when she went out tomorrow, she felt inexplicably excited, and the corners of her mouth curled up wildly. Suddenly, the light in the elevator flickered. She was startled, and her hand, which was adjusting her eyelashes, trembled. The false eyelash on her right, I was actually pulled off by her. Oh, it hurts. It hurts so much. She whimpered, raised her head, and looked at the light above her head, which had returned to normal with an angry face. What she didn't know was that this was just the appetizer that Gu Jingxing prepared for her. The next second, the elevator that was operating normally suddenly fell rapidly. The light went from flashing just once to flickering, just like a scene in a horror movie. Feeling the rapid fall, Guan Shan felt like her heart was about to jump out. She grabbed the handrail beside her and screamed desperately. Help! Ah! Soon, the elevator stopped again and stopped on the 15th floor as if nothing had happened. Guan Shan had already collapsed to the ground in fear. She took a break, then quickly got up and prepared to knock on the elevator door. Someone help me! The elevator is out of order! Help! She shouted for a long time, but there was no movement outside. She suddenly remembered the emergency call button of the elevator and was about to press it when there was a dong sound and a cold mechanical sound, and the elevator suddenly started moving upwards again. Oh, she screamed hysterically. The constantly shaking elevator made it impossible for her to stand steadily. She was knocked to the left, then to the right, and soon her body was covered with bruises. On the other side of the computer, Gu Jingxing looked at Guan Shan, who was already frightened to death, on the screen, and laughed with his face tilted back. After repeating this several times, Gu Jingxing began to feel a little bored. He curled his lips and turned off the computer. However, the program he set did not end. On the first floor of Jupin Mingyuan, two couples, a man and a woman, were waiting in line for the elevator. Seeing the numbers on the elevator door going up and down, they thought there were naughty kids playing a prank upstairs, so they quickly called the property management. The staff rushed over, checked the elevator, and directly cut off the elevator's power supply system. The elevator returned to default settings with a clang and stopped on the first floor. Several people quickly used various tools and finally pried the elevator door open. Guan Shan saw the white light, foamed at the mouth, and climbed out of the elevator. Her hair was messy, her face had half a double eyelid, her makeup was all smudged, and the sticky liquid was hard to tell whether it was tears or saliva. She looked just like a female ghost, scaring the onlookers into hiding or laughing. Ah, husband, how could there be a ghost in this elevator? Her husband gently held her in his arms and comforted her softly, Dear, it's okay. You are probably insane. Ha, look at this female ghost. She's so miserable. If you don't know her, you'd think she's a poor ghost that crawled out of a cesspool. Guan Shan was so angry that her face turned blue. You are the female ghosts. Look carefully. I am Lianting's future wife. If any of you dare to laugh at me, I will let Lianting tear your mouth apart. Unexpectedly, everyone laughed so hard that they bent over backwards. Ha, it turns out he really has gone crazy. Everyone knows that Mr. Li is not interested in women. Is she delusional? Guan Shan was so angry that her face turned blue and red, with shame and grief on her face. She could only crawl to her feet and run out of the community. It happens again and again. She dreamed of marrying Lianting, but Lianting was trying hard to find the woman from that night a few years ago. If Lianting knew that the woman that night a few years ago was Gumo, all her hopes would be ruined. Chapter 18. Mr. Ting's large-scale, double-standard scene. Lianting brought his daughter back to the Li family villa, which is located on the top of Beihuan Mountain. On this mountain that overlooks the entire imperial capital and is dotted with luxury homes, the higher you go up the mountain, the higher the housing prices become, and Lianting's home is the most luxurious of them all. There is a large black iron gate at the entrance, and an avenue leads directly to the interior of the manor. Both sides are lined with sycamore trees. In autumn, the leaves turn yellow and fall, forming a light yellow strip on the ground, which is extremely beautiful. The huge sculpture fountain at the entrance is a symbol of money. The car stopped in front of the white door, and the butler was already standing on the polished marble steps, greeting us respectfully. Mo Phone got out of the car and opened the door. Lianting held his daughter and walked into the entrance door of the villa with firm steps. Master Xiao is here and is waiting for you in the hall. The butler quickly followed and said respectfully. Lianting lowered his eyelids slightly. Xiao Yifeng? Yes, Master. Xiao Yifeng was Lianting's only playmate in college and also his best friend. The two people's acquaintance was entirely due to Xiao Yifeng's naturally funny personality. Back then, Lianting was a celebrity in the university. As the dream lover of all the female college students in the city, many people envied and jealous of him. But on the surface, no one dared to say no to him, and Xiao Yifeng became the first person in history. This originated from the first girl he liked when he was young and in love. After his humble confession was rejected, he heard the name Lianting from the girl. With the temperament of "it's either you live or I die" when love rivals meet, Xiao Yifeng took 2 gulps of air to build up his courage and blocked Lianting at the school gate. However, he was tripped by a banana peel and fell flat on his face in front of Lianting. Lianting was born with an icy personality. Facing Xiao Yifeng, who was screaming in pain in front of him, he didn't even look at him. He just walked around him and got into the Rolls-Royce that the driver came to pick him up. If Lianting is the emperor, then Xiao Yifeng must be Wei Xiaobao. Yes, that's right. Wei Xiaobao's criteria for choosing a spouse are also very suitable for Xiao Yifeng. Lianting entered the hall holding his daughter. Xiao Yifeng had dyed his hair yellow and wore a white ripped t-shirt with drop-crotch jeans, looking like a complete hip-hop boy. Oh, Xiao Lingling, do you miss your brother? From a distance, Xiao Yifeng saw the father and son and immediately put down the fat house happy water in his hand and ran over. Linger subconsciously dived into Lianting's arms. Daddy, that idiot uncle is so annoying. The passionate Xiao Yifeng approached, and when he heard Linger's words, he immediately covered his chest with a broken heart and tilted his head to one side with a painful expression. My little Lingling, you hurt my heart, do you know? Li Qingling stared at him with disdain with her big watery eyes, as if she was looking at an idiot. If you want to be his brother, then you have to call me uncle. The generations cannot be messed up. Lianting ignored him, carried his daughter upstairs, and spoke seriously. Xiao Yifeng's face suddenly fell, and he imitated the classic lines in TVB. Hey, it's just a joke, don't take it so seriously. You know I won't admit that I'm old. Lianting put Linger down, walked to the dining table, got a cup, and took out a bottle of mineral water from the locker, poured it into the cup, and handed it to Linger. Be good, drink some water. Linger picked up the cup with both hands very obediently and started drinking from it in big gulps. Xiao Yifeng looked at a series of completely unnecessary operations and said, You rich people, are you so particular about drinking water? Will you die if you just hold the bottle and drink it? Lianting glanced at him sideways, and his eyes seemed to say, Don't scold yourself. Although Xiao Yifeng's family seems heartless and uncontested, they are well off. Although not as good as the Li family, they are also a well-known family in the imperial capital. Tell me, what's the matter? Business or personal matter? As he spoke, the butler had already prepared a cup of coffee for Lianting and brought it up. He sat on the sofa, his legs casually crossed, the coffee cup in front of him emitting warm steam. He crossed his legs casually, and the coffee cup in front of him was emitting warm steam. This guy always looks so superior. He's really annoying. Xiao Yifeng gritted his teeth and muttered in his heart, but after muttering, he still confessed honestly, it's just official business. There was nothing he could do. He just admired him. From the first moment he saw this guy, he inexplicably felt that he had a kind of charisma. You can live without a woman, but you must have a friend. Li Jianing stood up and straightened the wrinkles on his clothes. Then get out. He has never liked discussing business matters at home, and this is clear to everyone who has worked with him. Let's go. Xiao Yifeng waved his hand and walked out first. The two of them came to the underground garage together. The huge parking lot was filled with various luxury cars, which could be called an unprecedented car show. This was not the first time Xiao Yifeng had come to the Li family's garage, but he was still shocked by the scene before him. After all, in this world, the only things that should not be wasted are sports cars and beauties. Li Jianing, when will you give me one of these cars to drive? Xiao Yifeng walked to a McLaren Senna and stroked it as if it were a treasure. Li Jianing gave him a disdainful look and threw a pair of car keys into the air. You drive. Xiao Yifeng caught it perfectly and pressed the unlock button. The lights of the McLaren Senna he had just touched lit up, and he was immediately overjoyed. Brother, you really understand me. The vehicle drove along the mountain path of Beihuan Mountain, and the huge engine sound echoed throughout the forest. At this moment, Li Jianing's cell phone received a text message. When he opened his phone, he saw the photos and the text asking for help sent by Guan Shan. Li Jianing's cold face showed no emotion. He just glanced at it and threw the phone aside in annoyance. Xiao Yifeng, who was sitting in the driver's seat, stretched his head and finally scanned the content of the text message and the photo that looked pitiful. Li Jianing noticed that he kept glancing at the phone screen, and without even looking at the road, he reminded him, this car costs 20 million. Xiao Yifeng retracted his neck. He had seen it all anyway. Guan Shan is pursuing you to the point of being crazy, but you are still indifferent? Li Jianing, you don't like me, do you? Xiao Yifeng teased, pretending to be surprised. Li Jianing gave him a sharp look in response. Instead, he smiled more harmlessly. Tell me, why do you have to look for the woman from that night a few years ago? Although she gave birth to a son and a daughter for you. Think about it, she was so cruel as to throw away her own children. Can you expect any kindness from this woman? Isn't it? How could a woman be so cruel as to throw away her own child? And once thrown away, it turns out to be a son and a daughter. Therefore, it is understandable that the elders of the Li family do not like the biological mother of the two children. Chapter 19. Mr. Li, your company has been hacked. Li Jianing did not answer him, but took out a cigarette box from his suit pocket in an impatient manner, took out a cigarette and lit it. But from beginning to end, his sharp eyes were shining with a firm aura. I'm more worried that something happened to her. Because something happened, she was unable to wait for his arrival and was forced to separate from her son. So over the years, he spent almost every day in guilt, wishing he could find her immediately and spend the rest of his life making it up to her. But it was really hard for him to imagine what had happened to her back then. Thinking of this, Li Jianing felt as if his chest was being pressed down by a huge rock, so heavy that he couldn't breathe. Didn't you say that you had business to discuss with me? Li Jianing took the last puff of his cigarette, flicked the cigarette, but out of the window with his bony fingers, and spoke lightly. Seeing that he didn't want to talk about this issue, Xiao Yifeng didn't continue to ask and followed up on his question. Oh, I'm going to introduce you to a hacker. His name is K. I met him when I was studying in the UK. You don't know, this guy is awesome. Speaking of this hacker K, Xiao Yifeng's eyes suddenly lit up, full of admiration. He even parked the car on the side of the road, ready to give Li Jianing a thorough introduction. I'll tell you, when I was studying in the UK, a murder case happened. The murderer was very clever. The surveillance system only captured a side view of him with unclear facial features. Even the profiling master couldn't draw a complete picture of him. Because his methods were cruel and he had gay friends, he might commit crimes again. All the female students were in a panic. As a result, it was this hacker who hacked into the FBL identity system and locked on the suspect from the information of tens of millions of people. Xiao Yifeng spoke in a serious tone, his voice full of ups and downs, and he inexplicably brought people into a state of tension. But this criminal suspect is very smart. He didn't use his ID card, and he didn't make phone calls. The police posted wanted notices all over the city, but he was very careful, and no news was leaked for a month. Guess how he was caught in the end? Hearing this, Lianting also became interested and responded. It's this hacker K. Xiao Yifeng slapped his thigh excitedly. He hacked into the network systems of all internet cafes in the UK and locked the location of the suspect based on keyword searches. It's really amazing. This guy not only has first-class hacking skills, he is also very smart. He determined that it was the suspect who was surfing the internet just because someone in an internet cafe searched for the C murder case continuously and kept paying attention to the case. Such thinking and logic are indeed very unusual. How do you know such a powerful person? Lianting was reserved about Xiao Yifeng's description. After all, this person always liked to exaggerate when telling stories. Why can't I get to know him? When I was in the UK, I was a famous person called C, known as the Little Prince of social life. Xiao Yifeng patted his chest proudly, but soon he realized that Lianting was questioning him, and he immediately became unhappy. Okay, Lianting, you doubt me. I'll send a message to K now to prove it to you. As he said that, he edited a message without hesitation and sent it to K. Jing Shing, who was sitting in the president's office of SK Group, was so bored that he started playing with a pen. Suddenly, the phone screen lit up, and he picked up the phone with dilated pupils, thinking it was a message from his mommy. But after seeing the words Nanfeng on the screen, his little head drooped, and he clicked on the message very perfunctorily. I'm back in the capital K. When can I meet you? Jing Shing met Nanfeng on a hacker website. By chance, he heard his mother talking about Lianting, the president of Li Group, who was a heartless man. He guessed that this bad man might have hurt mommy before, so he hated him and planned a brilliant revenge plan. After lurking in the forum for a few days, he wanted to find out the URL of the Li Group's financial system library, and Nanfeng was the leaker who agreed to tell him the address. The two therefore exchanged contact information. Nanfeng did not ask for any reward. In exchange, his only wish was to meet K. Jing Shing would certainly not let him get what he wanted, but in order to achieve his goal, he still needed to coax this netizen named Nanfeng. I'm also in the imperial capital, but you have to give me the information I want first. Don't worry, I always keep my word, Jing Shing replied, imitating the tone of an adult. Inside the McLaren, Xiao Yifeng's cell phone rang. He shook his phone proudly and boasted, "See, I didn't lie to you. I really know this hacker." He opened the text message while smiling, but after seeing the content, the smile on his face froze instantly, and he subconsciously looked in the direction of Lianting. If this guy knew that he had contacted the hacker by using the link to the financial database of the Li Group as bait, would he hack him to death? What? What did he reply? Lianting noticed the subtle change in his mood and asked vigilantly. Nothing. He just said he's busy lately and can't meet. Xiao Yifeng forced an awkward smile to hide his guilty conscience. Then he used the excuse of going to pee and sent the link of the financial database to K. This is the only chance to meet your idol. If you don't seize it, you will miss it. Although I don't know what K wants this address for, Lianting's hacker team is, after all, the world's top level. It should be more than enough to deal with K, right? He promised that as soon as he saw K, he would immediately confess and show leniency to K and treat those who resisted with severity, so that Lianting would be on high alert. On the way back to the car, Xiao Yifeng kept muttering to himself, trying to comfort his heart, which was beating nonstop because of doing bad things. However, what he didn't expect was that as soon as he returned to the car, he happened to see Lianting hanging up the phone with a sad face. "What's that expression? Are you bankrupt?" he teased with a smile. The group's financial system was attacked, and someone stole 10 million from the account. "Get in the car quickly and take me back to the company." Lianting's eyes were cold, and his whole body exuded an aura as cold as a glacier. "Oh my God! No way!" Xiao Yifeng shouted in shock. Chapter 20. Mr. Ting asks his son to come forward. Xiao Yifeng drove all the way to the Li Group at an accelerated speed. Under the towering building, there were already 2 rows of company executives related to this incident standing in a row. Everyone had an anxious and worried expression on their face. Mo Feng recognized the license plate number at a glance, ran down the steps on the side of the road, and opened the car door respectfully. Lianting took a step with his long legs, and with his bony fingers he buttoned up his suit the moment he got out of the car. He walked in surrounded by the senior executives like an emperor. Because Xiao Yifeng felt guilty, he drove away after seeing Lianting off. He never expected that K came to him to ask for the address of the Lee Group's financial vault for money. But logically speaking, how could a hacker of this level be short of money? Xiao Yifeng naturally didn't know that Jing Shing went to great lengths to steal 10 million from the Gu Group just to teach the Li family a lesson and, by the way, use the 10 million to compensate mommy. Lianting walked into the hall with great vigor, followed by a large group of senior executives. Mo Feng followed closely behind him to report. Boss Li, the situation is very complicated. The funds were transferred by a hacker an hour ago. Our hacker team has tracked down the other party's IP address as soon as possible and is currently cracking and locking it. We expect to get the results tonight. Lianting suddenly stopped, and the biting cold air around him was like a sharp sword, shocking everyone present. Su Jie and all the senior executives behind him stopped almost at the same time, holding their breath and waiting for a stormy scolding. If you can't find out tonight, you will disappear along with the 10 million. All the senior executives of Lee Group spent a difficult and painful night. The next morning, the hacker team sent news that they had failed. It's really weird. They had clearly seized the best golden time and locked the other party's account within 1 minute of the theft. But after tracing it, we found that it was actually their company's own IP address. This is clearly a trap set by the other party. Lianting, who had been guarding the company all night, was furious when he heard this. I opened the computer and tracked the other party's bank account. But when I clicked on it, I found that the account that received the transfer was just a shell account overseas and had no real name at all. For Lianting, the theft of 10 million was nothing at all. The most important thing is that the hacker's horrific technology can, in such a short period of time, take away 10 million from the network of the Lee Group, which is full of experts, without leaving any trace, and even make his hacker team run around in circles. Such a person is undoubtedly a huge threat. If he can steal 10 million from the group's financial vault today and get away with it, then tomorrow he can steal the most confidential information in the business opportunity library and sell it to others. This is the most fatal thing for a company. Mo Feng looked at Lianting's helpless look and knew that even he might be helpless in this matter. He reminded him cautiously, "Boss Li, do you want to ask the young master to help? This matter may be handled by the young master." Lianting frowned, and a hint of danger flashed in his sharp eyes. Mo Feng didn't dare to say a word. Young Master Li Zixiao is a hacker genius. He could disassemble and assemble computers by himself at the age of 3. He is proficient in all kinds of basic codes. At the age of 4, he is already ranked among the top 5 hackers in the world. Half a year ago, the robot he invented and manufactured even won the first prize in a science and technology competition. If he takes action, I believe the person who stole the funds of the Lee Group will be caught soon. Mo Feng firmly believed this, and Lianting naturally knew it better than him. However, Zixiao's personality is very similar to when he was a child. He is indifferent to everything around him and has no feelings of sadness or joy. Although he is only 5 years old, he seems to have seen through the worldly world and is calm and unperturbed. Even towards his father, he was not very affectionate. If he wants his son to solve the problem, I'm afraid Lianting himself may not be able to do it. Late at night, Lianting returned to the Li family villa. When passing by his son's bedroom door, he suddenly stopped hesitantly. This matter was extraordinary. If it could not be resolved early, it would be a time bomb that could explode at any time for the Li Group. After some hesitation, he pushed the door and walked in. In the room, his son Li Zixiao was sitting alone on the carpet, wearing dark gray pajamas without any patterns, fiddling with his robot in his hands. With just such a simple little hand, he took it apart and put it back together, and never seemed satisfied. Lianting walked to his side quietly, put the robot's small hand on the other side, and pushed the joint of the simulated human arm back, and said in a low voice, "This is more suitable." Li Zixiao raised his head, looked at his father, and then looked at the robot after his father had adjusted it. Without hesitation, he took off the arm he had just finished and said with disgust, "It's uglier than you." Lianting, what a good son he is. He coughed lightly, walked to the sofa beside him, and sat down, crossing his long legs casually. Since everything in the room was not designed for adults, it seemed a bit cramped. "Father wants to discuss something with you." Li Zixiao paused for a moment while fiddling with the robot. He did not answer, and soon started tinkering with it again as if nothing had happened. But Lianting knew that he was listening, so he continued, "Today, a hacker stole 10 million from the group. The number is small, but safety is the most important, so..." "Father." Li Zixiao understood what he meant and raised his head. There was a hint of contempt in his eyes. Are those people supported by your company just eating for free? Li Jianting, Li Zixiao said indifferently. And Daddy, even the money can be stolen. Are you a fool? Li Jianting. He knew this would be the result. I'm going to sleep. Li Zixiao got up from the ground and quickly got into bed. The refusal was already very clear, so Li Jianting had no choice but to get up and walk out of the house. If there is anyone in this world who can make Mr. Ting from the imperial capital experience the feeling of failure again and again, then his son Li Zixiao must be one of them. The next day, Li Jianting deliberately paused his work, drove the chef out of the kitchen, closed the door, put on an apron, and prepared to make breakfast for his daughter and son himself. He is a misophobe and hates cooking fumes. But my daughter Li Qingling often complained to herself that other children could eat the meals cooked by their parents, but she could not. Although his son Li Zixiao didn't say it, Li Jianting knew that he had the same idea as his daughter. After Li Zixiao finished washing up, he went downstairs and saw a group of chefs and assistants standing at the door with their hands folded in their sides. He also saw that the double doors of the kitchen were closed and asked coldly, "Who's in there?" Chapter 21, The Confrontation Between the Two Sons. After Li Zixiao finished washing up, he went downstairs and saw a group of chefs and assistants standing at the door with their hands behind their backs. He also saw that the double doors of the kitchen were closed and asked coldly, "Who's in there?" The chef bowed in fear and stammered, "Young master, it's Mr. Li." Li Zixiao frowned, suspecting that the Li family's kitchen would catch fire soon. "Pour me a glass of milk," he ordered casually, then picked up the laptop in the front room and climbed onto the children's chair next to the dining table. His fingers have not yet lost the fleshy feel of his childhood, but just by looking at the skeleton, one can tell that these delicate and white hands will definitely grow into very beautiful hands in the future. Li Zixiao is just like Li Jianting, with a sharp tongue but a soft heart. He seems indifferent to everything, but in his heart, he knows clearly who is the most important person to him. After typing a few strings of code on the computer screen, he quickly found the IP address of the hacker who sneaked into the Li group yesterday and successfully cracked his virtual address, going directly inside and intercepting the other party's signal. Jing Shing, who had already returned to Jiuping Mingyuan, jumped up directly from the sofa after receiving the system prompt. Who intercepted my signal? He ran to the computer angrily and curiously and started to negotiate with the other party. After several rounds of competition, he found that the opponent's level was comparable to his own, and even a little bit better than his. "Who are you? Why are you intercepting my signal?" He finally couldn't help it and started talking to the other party. Li Zixiao received the message from Jing Shing and replied expressionlessly, "Give me back the money you stole." Jing Shing gnashed his teeth in anger at the other party's behavior of directly skipping his question and questioning him instead. "No, if you have the guts, come and get it yourself." "Childish." "I'm childish? How old are you?" Age is not the criterion for judging a person's ability. Others can't find you, but I can. This is probably the longest sentence Li Zixiao has ever said. There is an absolute confidence and authority between the lines. Jing Shing looked at the other party's provocative reply and angrily tapped the keyboard. "What's the big deal? Don't talk to me like an old man. Don't talk to me like a little brat." Li Zixiao refused to be outdone. Jing Shing was so angry that he didn't want to reply. He turned off the computer with a click and ordered the system to cut off the power. Li Zixiao's messages were instantly cut off. But after calming down, his interest in Li Jianting grew stronger and stronger. He really didn't expect that there was such a powerful person under Li Jianting's command who could intercept his signal. But he also knew that this person was definitely not from the Li group. Because if he was there yesterday, he would never have been able to steal 10 million from the treasury so easily. After Jing Shing turned off the computer, he heard some clanging sounds coming from the kitchen and ran in Jumpy. Gumo was wearing a white shirt and khaki trousers, her hair casually tied up with chopsticks, and she was making soup in the kitchen. As far as Jing Shing could remember, one of his 3 meals a day was always prepared by his mother. No matter how busy she was, she would always make him a bowl of soup. Sometimes, he felt that his mother was like Superman. Not only could she run the company so well, but she could also make time to accompany him and take care of him. It is such a blessing to be a mommy's child. Jing Shing thought about it, and the more he thought about it, the more moved he felt. He kicked his chubby legs and ran to Gumo, hugging her calves. "Mommy, do you need help?" Gumo's feet sank, and when she looked down and saw her son coming in, she quickly put down the spoon in her hand and touched his little head. "No need. Go out and wait. You can eat in a while." "Okay." Jing Shing ran out obediently. 20 minutes later, Gumo walked out with the freshly cooked deer antler ginseng soup and stir-fried organic vegetables. Just as she served the soup, the cell phone on the dining table rang. The caller ID showed it was Lianting, so she picked up the call. "Mr. Gu, there's news about Uncle Fu that you've been looking for." Gumo's hand holding the soup spoon trembled slightly, and she almost fell to the ground. Uncle Fu used to be the steward of his mother's family. When his mother married his father Guanting, he came to the Gu family with his mother. Uncle Fu watched my mother and myself grow up, and to Gumo, he's like a family member. "Where is he?" Gumo's tone was unusually anxious. "In the central hospital of the imperial capital." Lianting hesitated to speak, and Gumo guessed something in her heart. "Is he sick? Is his condition very bad?" "Yes, Mr. Gu. Given Uncle Fu's current condition, I'm afraid you are the only one who can save him." Gumo took a deep breath. As the holy doctor with ghost hands, people all over the world wanted to find her. She couldn't appear in a conspicuous place like the central hospital. However, she had already regarded Uncle Fu as a family member. After her mother passed away, she was framed again. In the 5 years since she left the imperial capital, she has never stopped looking for Uncle Fu. Now, after finally finding him, she discovered that he was dying. No matter what, she couldn't just ignore his life. "Please arrange for the hospital to be open. Tomorrow, I will go there in person to treat Uncle Fu. But Mr. Li is looking for you everywhere." Lianting also expressed his concerns. "No buts. Uncle Fu's life is more important than anything else." Gumo replied firmly. Seeing that his boss was so insistent, Lianting didn't know what to say. After hanging up the phone, he started to contact the hospital director to make preparations. By Guan Shan Manor, Lianting was wearing a black home suit and standing beside the dining table, like a proud lion, showing the 2 little lions the lunch he had just caught. Li Zixiao and Li Qingling looked at the table full of burnt or fuzzy food. Their facial features almost twisted together. "Daddy, what is this?" Li Qingling asked with disgust, pointing at a dish in front of her whose ingredients could no longer be identified. "A runny double yolk egg." Lianting answered truthfully. "Where's the runny nose? Where's the double yolk? Sorry, I really only see a bunch of black stuff." Li Qingling pouted in pain. Her small body looked like she had seen a ghost. She shook her head desperately and backed away. "Daddy, the food you cook is pitch black and inedible. It's not like the food that beautiful aunt cooks. It's beautiful and delicious." When he heard his daughter mention Gumo again, his expression was still very ugly. He couldn't say that his impression of Gumo was bad. He could only say that he was jealous, to the point of exploding. "She is obviously my own daughter, so why does it feel like she always sticks to Gumo?" Chapter 22. Mr. Ting has fallen out of favor with his children. Helpless. This is his precious daughter. Lianting can only squat down and coax her gently. "Linger, be good. Don't mention this woman in front of Daddy anymore. She is a bad guy who wants to kidnap Ling, isn't it?" She competed with him for Linger's favor. If she wasn't a bad person, what was she? When Li Qingling heard this, her face immediately fell, and her big round eyes were soon covered with mist. "Daddy, why did you say bad things about Aunt Pretty? She is so nice, pretty, and kind, but you said Aunt Pretty is a bad guy, when it's obviously Daddy who is the bad guy, okay?" Lianting. How did he become a bad guy? Lianting had never expected his daughter to have such a big reaction, so he could only coax her softly. "Linger, is Daddy not as important as your beautiful aunt? Daddy, do you have a beautiful aunt who is rich? Do you have a beautiful aunt who is kind? Do you have a beautiful aunt who can cook?" Lianting. He was stabbed hard in the heart. Daddy is obviously not as good as Pretty Aunt in everything. Why is Daddy still so confident? Lianting felt like he was stabbed in the heart again. No wonder Daddy is so short-sighted and doesn't like someone as outstanding as Pretty Aunt. "Daddy, you really should go to the hospital to check your eyes and your brain as well. If Daddy's stupidity is passed on to Linger, Pretty Aunt will dislike Linger." Lianting. Tears were streaming down my face. My heart was pierced by thousands of arrows, and blood was flowing out. The cold-faced king of the empire's business world was actually despised by his own daughter. Wouldn't he be laughed at to death if this got out? Silly Daddy, stay away from Linger. You'll infect her with your stupidity." Linger quickly shrank down from the children's dining chair and ran upstairs with her short legs. Lianting felt a throbbing sensation in his temples. It was over. He had fallen out of favor. This woman, Gumo, made him completely lose favor in front of his daughter. Li Zixiao was not clear about the current situation, nor did he know who the beautiful ant Linger was referring to. He just heard Linger mention beautiful ant. The image of the fairy ant he saw at the auction that day suddenly appeared in his mind. Fairy ant is really beautiful. It would be great if I had the chance to see her again. However, in this huge imperial capital, how slim is the chance of meeting again? Thinking of this, Li Zixiao's mood inexplicably became depressed. Seeing that his daughter was angry, Li Jianting could only look at his son beside him. However, Li Zixiao did the same. He gave him a contemptuous look and fled the scene at the speed of light. Li Jianting, is he really so bad that both his son and daughter hate him? After trying to coax his son and daughter to no avail, Li Jianting had no choice but to return to the bedroom to take a shower and go to bed. Half an hour later, Li Jianting came out of the bathroom with a bath towel wrapped around his lower body. There were still undried water stains on his body. While wiping his dripping hair with a towel, he walked calmly to his shaking cell phone. This guy's been screaming since he entered the bedroom to wash up. He glanced at the three big words Xiao Yifeng on the screen, frowned, and answered the phone impatiently. Hello. The voice was low and hoarse. Li Jianting. Good news. Haven't you been looking for the ghost hand doctor before? But to no avail? I just got the news that he will show up at the Imperial Capital Central Hospital tomorrow to perform surgery on a man named Wang Dafu. He was still angry at first, but after hearing the news brought by Xiao Yifeng, it was as if the clouds had been cleared and the sky was clear. Is the news reliable? It's absolutely true. If I had ever lied to you, the son I gave birth to would not have an anus. Xiao Yifeng swore. The reason why he was so sure was because he had a friend who worked in logistics at the Imperial Capital Central Hospital. Today, the director suddenly called many people back, saying that a big shot would come to the hospital tomorrow. He asked them to be extra careful and not to bring shame to the hospital. And this big shot is the ghost hand saint doctor. This was only known by his friend, who secretly overheard the dean talking on the phone with the other party. Seeing that he became so ruthless that he even cursed himself, Li Jianting believed the news without a doubt. If it's true, you can pick any car in my garage. Li Jianting. What a rich man. You are worthy of being the business leader of the imperial capital. The economic benchmark, the ceiling of the richest man. In the whole imperial capital, you are the most manly, the most generous, the one who regards money as dirt the most. Xiao Yifeng flattered him several times in a row. His originally smiling face suddenly became timid after he thought about the fact that he caused the Li group to lose 10 million yuan. He coughed a few times and said, well, forget it. I can't afford such an expensive gift. I can't afford it. Hearing this, Li Jianting sneered. Is there anything that you, Xiao Yifeng, can't afford? Have you done something wrong? Why don't you dare to accept it? Chapter 23, The Ghost Hand Doctor is found. I swear to God, I, Xiao Yifeng, and you have been through life and death together, through fire and water. Would I do anything to let you down? Are you kidding? I tell you, even if someone pointed a gun at my head and asked me to betray you, I would not agree. Xiao Yifeng quickly expressed his determination. When did I ever say that doing something against your conscience is equivalent to being sorry to me? Li Jianting asked in a deep voice. Although they were separated by the phone, Xiao Yifeng could already feel the other party's strong sense of oppression. He chuckled. Oh, I was just scared by you. Lao Li, the most important thing for friends is mutual trust. Li Jianting listened to his Tang monk-like mumbling and decisively hung up the phone. Next day, after Gumo prepared breakfast for Jing Shing, she drove to the central hospital of the imperial capital. Last night, she stayed up late to read the examination report sent by the hospital. The operation was indeed difficult, but not completely impossible. Using her professional knowledge, she developed a surgical plan and asked Li Mo to send it to the hospital director and make preparations. However, before that, she still wanted to go to the ward and see Uncle Fu as Gumo. Uncle Fu was in the neurosurgery department, and Gumo took the elevator to the inpatient department on the 16th floor. Just when she found Uncle Fu's room number according to the room number, a woman suddenly appeared in the room. The woman was wearing a rose-red skirt. She wasn't fat, but because of her age, she still had some fat around her waist. Judging from her back, she should be around 40 years old. Just as Gumo was guessing who it was, the man turned around and walked towards her while talking on the phone. That was the enemy she would never forget in her life, Dong Qingran. She is Gu Shanshan's biological mother, and also Gu Jinting's childhood sweetheart, whom he married immediately after he divorced his mother. If she had not interfered in her mother's marriage with Gu Jinting, perhaps everything would not have come to this point. Gumomo saw her coming and quickly hid in the corner. Dong Qingrun walked past her without noticing while listening to the phone. Oh, don't worry. The old guy is already on his deathbed. He can't even speak clearly. The hospital has already issued a critical illness notice. It will happen the next 2 days. When the hospital is quiet tonight, I will secretly take out the transfer contract I prepared and let the old guy sign it. Humph! That bitch has been dead for so many years, and she still wants to leave that little money to her daughter? She's just dreaming. In the corner, Gumomo clenched her teeth, and the tips of her pink nails turned white. The bitch Dong Qingrun mentioned was her biological mother. If Uncle Fu's surgery wasn't about to begin, and she hadn't rushed over to see him and then went into the operating room to prepare, she would never swallow her anger. But she, Gumomo, kept this account in mind. Soon, Gumomo met Uncle Fu in the ward. In the ward, Uncle Fu lay quietly on the hospital bed. His silver-white hair had grown to his ears, his skin was sallow, his eye sockets were sunken, and there were some age spots around his protruding cheekbones. In Gumomo's impression, Uncle Fu has always been in high spirits. Even at the age of 60, he still maintains good habits. With his shiny silver hair, straight body, and black suit, he manages everything in the huge villa, even the smallest details like hair, in perfect order, giving off a feeling of being still strong despite being old. After 5 years and suffering from illness, he is now thin and haggard, and his whole body is shrunken. The former glory will never come back. Looking at Uncle Fu like this, Gumomo's heart was inexplicably knotted. She tiptoed to the bedside, picked up his sallow, dry hand, and held it in her palm. Because he has been doing rough work for many years, Uncle Fu's hands are covered with calluses. Each of his fingers can no longer be straightened and feel as rough as tree bark. Uncle Fu, I'm sorry. I came too late and made you suffer so much. Uncle Fu, who was in a coma, seemed to feel her touch. His fingertips shook twice, and he gently held her fingers. Gumomo raised her eyes in surprise and saw Uncle Fu's eyes were closed, as if tears were flowing out. Uncle Fu, do you have something to say to me? Gumomo stood up and was about to go downstairs to listen, when suddenly a sharp accusatory voice came from the door. Gumomo, why are you here? What do you want to do to Uncle Fu? When Gumomo heard this, she turned around and saw Dong Qingrun hurriedly coming in with a women's leather bag in her hand. Do I need to tell you where I am? Gumomo raised her eyelids lazily, her deep eyes slightly raised at the corners. When she squinted her eyes habitually, it gave people an inexplicable sense of oppression. Chapter 24, Can You Cure Diseases? What do you mean by that? No matter what I say, I am still your stepmother. Dong Qingruan's tone unconsciously weakened when she stared at him like that. How can you talk to your mother like that? Oh, Mom, Gumomo sneered. You are worthy? Dong Qingrun was embarrassed by her ridicule and was worried that Uncle Fu would wake up and see Gumomo, and his plan would be ruined. So he hurriedly opened his mouth to drive them away. What are you doing here? Hurry up and leave. Uncle Fu is my family's housekeeper. He was sick, and I came to visit him. When did I need your approval? Hearing that Gumomo treated Uncle Fu as his own, as if he was in a hurry to visit a relative, Dong Qingrun immediately laughed. She knew that Gumomo must be here for the money her mother left for Uncle Fu. Gumomo, I was wondering, why are you so kind to come and see Uncle Fu? I think you were just after the money your mother left for Uncle Fu. Are you still a human being? That is the retirement money your mother left for Uncle Fu before she died. Uncle Renfu has devoted his entire youth to your Su family, to you, and to your mother. He has never married. Now he is sick and lying in bed, without even anyone to take care of him. And you come here just for the money? This is so disgusting. Dong Qingrun cursed with all his might, his voice high and full of energy, attracting several other patients' families who were passing by to stop and watch. Among them was Lianting, who had just arrived according to the message sent by Xiao Feng. Among the crowd of curious Annies, his tall stature, well-tailored suit, and superbly perfect face seemed somewhat out of place. And in the ward, Dong Qingruan's cursing voice continued to be heard. Gumomo, do you have a heart? People are already like this, but you are only thinking about money. I'm ashamed of your father. Are you crazy because of poverty? She kept cursing, but Gumomo didn't respond and just sat beside the bed with an expressionless face. Gu Jinting's family is now more shameless than each other. He kept saying that she was not a human being and that she was only after Uncle Fu's money. But secretly, he had already started planning how to take Uncle Fu's money for himself. This family of profit-seeking wolves and tigers not only swallowed up all of the Su family's property, but now they are even unwilling to let go of the money that my mother left for Uncle Fu. They're the ones who are really disgusting. She was not short of money and had never worried about the money, but she would never allow the money to fall into the hands of anyone in the Gu family. Yes, Uncle Fu's money was originally left by my mother. Now I want to take it back, and there is no problem. Do you think you can embezzle it when I'm not here? Gumo curled her lips. Dong Qingrun, who the hell do you think you are? When the onlookers outside the door heard this, they all shook their heads and accused Gumo of being heartless. Lianting was not the kind of person who would believe in other people's gossip, but when he caught a glimpse of the indifferent expression on Gumo's face, he couldn't help but frown. Her indifferent expression, did she not take the Gu family seriously, or was it really, is it for the money? Thinking that Gumo might have approached him for money, Lianting suddenly felt annoyed. He tugged at his tie, irritably, and decided to leave first to find the ghost hand doctor. However, the farce in the ward was far from over. Get out of the way. I want to take Uncle Fu into the operating room. Gumo stood up, pressed the call button on the bedside, and looked coldly at Dong Wenrun, who was blocking the road. Dong Wenrun refused to give in. When he heard that Gumo was going to take Uncle Fu for surgery, he mocked. Gumo, who do you think you are? Do you know what disease Uncle Fu has? A brain tumor. It's malignant. Do you think you can save him just because you want to? I told you that you are after his money. You haven't even studied medicine, and you still want to save people? You are clearly committing murder. Gumo raised her hand and looked at her watch. It was almost time. If Dong Wenrun still wanted to continue to stop her, then she wouldn't mind letting her come in sideways and go out lying down like Guan Shan. I'll say it again, get out of the way. This time, her tone was obviously colder than before. The arrogant Dong Wenrun actually felt a little guilty and responded without confidence. What? What if I don't let you what? What do you want to do? Gumo didn't have the time to waste with her. Just as she was about to raise her hand to grab Dong Wenrun's wrist and throw her aside, someone suddenly rushed in from outside the door. Lin Wanner walked in arrogantly, wearing 7 centimeters high heels. After what happened last time, she hated Gumo to the core. As soon as he saw her, he started barking like a mad dog. Gumo, are you going to make people laugh to death? You want to perform surgery on Uncle Fu in this state? Don't come and embarrass yourself. Wanna, you're here? That's great. You're a professional. Hurry up and talk to this ignorant person about the condition of Uncle Fu's illness. Dong Wenrun became arrogant when he saw his people coming. He pulled a chair over and sat down on it, blocking Gumo's way to leave the ward. Lin Wanner is a senior student at the Imperial Capital Medical University, and her major happens to be neurosurgery. As soon as Dong Wenrun found out about Uncle Fu, he showed his medical record to Lin Wanner. Lin Wanner shook her head and said that even a god couldn't save him from this disease. Dong Wenrun immediately had an idea in his mind, and then he started to think about swallowing up the 1 billion yuan in Uncle Fu's hands. Talking about her strengths, Lin Wanner suddenly became more confident. She raised her chin and softened her voice. Let me tell you, Gumo, your Uncle Fu is suffering from a brain tumor, and this tumor grows between the cerebellum and the spine, which is medically called the foramen magnum. Because of its very tricky location, once the surgeon makes a mistake, he will either be paralyzed or become a vegetable. You who have never studied medicine still want to save people? This is so funny. Although Dong Qingrun didn't understand these professional terms, she felt that Lin Wanner's criticism made her feel very happy. By the way, Wanner, I heard that you had excellent grades in college, and the school recommended you to do an internship at this hospital, right? Lin Wanner tucked the hair that had suddenly fallen from her ears behind her ears and said modestly, It's nothing, Andy. Some time ago, our professor said that he would introduce me to the ghost hand saint doctor and make me his first apprentice. The holy doctor with ghost hands? Is he the mysterious doctor that many people want to see for treatment? Chapter 25. Gumo is the holy doctor with ghost hands? Yes, it's him. Lin Wanner nodded shyly. Oh, Wanner, you are so outstanding. Auntie is proud of Master Lin. Dong Qingrun exclaimed exaggeratedly, and then glanced at Gumo. Unlike some people who have to brag about themselves, Gumo watched them singing the same tune and performing a scene in front of her. She didn't know whether to call it embarrassing or funny. She could hardly hold back her laughter. She never intended to take a woman who had licked the soles of her shoes as her apprentice. Just when Gumo decided to use violence to deal with the 2 men in front of her, her wrist was suddenly strangled. When she turned around, she found that Uncle Fu had woken up. Dong Wenrun and Lin Wanner, who were feeling smug just now, immediately became extremely anxious. Gumomo turned around, held Uncle Fu's hand, and her tone softened. Uncle Fu, how do you feel? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Miss, miss. Uncle Fu struggled to get up, his forehead veins bulging with excitement. Suddenly, as if he couldn't catch his breath, he fainted. The heart monitor next to the bed lit up red, and the alarm instantly attracted a group of nurses. Gumomo quickly tore off Uncle Fu's clothes on his chest, and before the nurse could help, she sat on the bed without hesitation and began to press Uncle Fu's heart rhythmically, performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation on him. Several guards rushed in and saw Gumomo, and they had already started rescuing her. The patient's blood pressure is rising and his heart rate is decreasing. Give him an injection of epinephrine immediately. Also, notify the operating room immediately and tell them that the surgery that we contacted the dean yesterday to prepare in advance can now begin. Gumomo arranged the next steps in an orderly manner, and every word she said revealed absolute professionalism and calmness. These nurses, who didn't understand what was going on, were inexplicably directed by her to push the bed towards the operating room. Lin Wanner is a medical student. Gumomo's series of actions just now, and her calmness and rationality when facing the emergency, are something that even a doctor who has been practicing for 3 or 4 years may not be able to do. She was so surprised that she froze in place. Dong Wenrun, who was standing by, saw the bed being pushed further and further away, so he rushed back to remind her, Wanner, what are you daydreaming about? That bitch Gumomo has already followed her into the operating room. You should hurry in with her. Keep an eye on her. Don't let Uncle Fu be rescued. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. After hearing this, Lin Wanner came back to her senses from her shock and hurriedly followed Dong Qingrun towards the operating room. When they arrived, Gumomo had already brought Uncle Fu into the operating room. The two men anxiously wandered at the door for a long time, and happened to see Director He from the Central Hospital wearing a white coat and hurriedly walking towards the door of the operating room. Lin Wanner walked quickly forward and stopped Dean He when he was about to enter the operating room. Who are you? Dean He was forced to stop, but his eyes looked into the operating room anxiously. Hello, Dean He. I am a student of neurosurgery at the Imperial Capital Medical University. We met when I went to the hospital to sign an internship agreement 2 days ago. I saw a patient being pushed in. He is my relative. Excuse me, would it be convenient for you to take me in with you? Lin Wanner asked with the same pretended concern. That's impossible. There's only this one operation in the entire neurosurgery department today. It's very important. The surgeon in charge is the holy doctor with ghost hands. Even I can only be his assistant. How can you go in? Dean He refused without hesitation. Yesterday, he arranged overnight for less important neurosurgery operations to be performed in other departments that did not require operating rooms, in order to create the best service conditions for the operation. Even he himself ended his annual leave and returned to work, specifically to help the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor. When Lin Wanna heard that the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor was also coming, she wanted to go in even more eagerly. Every medical student aims to reach 1/10 of the level of the Ghost Hand Doctor in his lifetime. He is the idol of all medical students. If I could complete an operation on the same stage with him, even if I just helped him wipe his sweat or handed him water, it would be a great achievement that I could brag about for the rest of my life. Deanie, are you telling the truth? Then I have to ask you to take me in. He is the holy doctor with ghost hands. Please, let me go in with you. Lin Wanner put her hands together and rubbed them up and down. Dong Qingrun also spoke for her. Yes, Dean, please. I am Dong Qingrun, the wife of Gu Group, and this is Lin Wanner, the daughter of Mr. Lin. As long as you bring her in this time, our two families will definitely contribute a little to the hospital's medical equipment in the future. After all, she has been in the socialite circle for so many years, and she knows that the most effective word in the world is money. However, to Dean He, none of these are as important as the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor. Okay, stop talking. I won't take you in. Dean He refused sternly. Lin Wanner was turned away. When she thought that Gumomo had sneaked in and had the chance to see the holy doctor with ghost hands, she felt jealous and helpless. She pointed at the operating room and said angrily, "Where's Gumomo?" Just now, a woman who had never studied medicine followed the patient into the operating room. Deanie, why didn't you kick her out? Are you talking about Miss Gumomo? Deanie was surprised. Her relationship with the holy Dr. Ghost Hand is extraordinary. It's okay if I heard what you said. But if she heard it and filed a complaint, you might never be able to work in the medical field again. Dean, he warned. Seeing that Gumo had already gone in, he didn't want to waste any more time with the two people in front of him, so he hurried in. Lin Warner stood helplessly at the door of the operating room, looking at the tightly closed double doors, her teeth almost bleeding from biting them. Why? Why can Gumo go in? But I can't. Dong Wenrun was so angry that her face turned blue. She had never expected that the inconspicuous girl would have such a wide social circle after returning from abroad 5 years later. Even figures like the ghost hand saint doctor can come into contact with him. In the operating room, Gumo was wearing surgical gown, a surgical cap, and a mask. The only thing visible from her body was her pair of bright eyes. For this operation, Director, he followed Li Mo's arrangements and found some old employees of the hospital who were trustworthy and would not easily reveal any information about the ghost hand doctor. Everything was ready. Gumo stretched out her hand and said to the instrument guard beside her, "Scalpel." Chapter 26, The Miracle Doctor's Identity is discovered. Craniotomy is an extremely risky surgery, and the location of Uncle Fu's tumor was very tricky. Even a difference of 0.01 millimeter during resection could lead to serious consequences. Gumo found the location of the tumor. Dini looked at the tangled mass of nerves and the tumor stuck in between, and his back straightened. If this tumor grows any bigger, there may not even be enough space for a scalpel. This was probably the most complicated brain surgery he had ever performed. Gumo adjusted her breathing and carefully avoided all kinds of blood vessels and nervous systems. She used the high-frequency electric knife to separate and coagulate tissues and cut open the connection between the tumor and the cerebellum and spine bit by bit. The doctor and the nurse were so nervous that they were sweating, but when they saw Gumo's hands, which were so steady that they hardly trembled at all, they felt relieved instantly. Outside the operating room, Lin Warner still wanted to go in unwillingly. She kept wandering at the door and tried to sneak in with other nurses, but she was stopped. "What are you doing? Why don't you call that Gumo out? She has never studied medicine. How can she complete this operation with the ghost hand saint doctor?" Lin Warner shouted angrily. Several people nearby were stunned when they heard the name of the ghost hand holy doctor from her mouth. "What did you say? The ghost hand saint doctor is in this hospital? Oh my God! My child is saved. God is really merciful. A living immortal actually appeared here. This is really great. Most of the patients in this ward are terminally ill. Their families pray every day that the god of death can take their loved ones later, and pray to the Bodhisattva every day that they can live one more day. At this moment, the ghost hand doctor is their hope. Soon, the news that the ghost hand saint doctor performed surgery at the Imperial Capital Central Hospital spread throughout the hospital. Outside the operating room, the patient's family surrounded the area. They all wanted to see the holy doctor with the ghost hands and pray that he would save their loved ones. Lianting also received the news and rushed over. Mo Feng followed him and saw that the operating room was full of people. He wanted to go forward to inquire about the situation, but he couldn't squeeze in at all, so he returned in shame. Lianting sat on the hospital's accompanying chair and ordered, "Go check immediately to see who else participated in the operation besides the ghost hand saint doctor. Also, find someone to guard the other exits of the operating room. I'm worried that the ghost hand saint doctor will leave early after the operation." Mo Feng nodded. "Yes, I understand. I will do it immediately." Several hours later, Gumo finally came out of the operating room. The patients quickly gathered around her, but Lin Warner was still adding fuel to the fire. "She is Gumo. She was the one who shamelessly followed the ghost hand saint doctor into the operating room." Lianting, who had been standing outside the crowd, narrowed his eyes when he heard that Gumo actually entered the operating room with the ghost hand doctor. This hospital is a top hospital in the capital, with clear rules and regulations. It is absolutely impossible to allow an unrelated person into the operating room. So Gumo, what secret does she have? There were too many people outside the operating room, so Gumo signaled them to send Uncle Fu to the intensive care unit first and stayed behind herself. Gumo. She took off her medical mask and said, "Excuse me, everyone. St. Dr. Ghost Hand has already left the hospital through another passage in the operating room. You don't have to wait any longer." When everyone heard this, there was an uproar. Upon hearing this, Lianting in the corner narrowed his eyes and looked at Gumo, who was surrounded by everyone with a scrutinizing look. Mo Feng at the side took out the information he had just collected and reported, "Boss Li, as far as I know, All the people who were used in this operation were old employees of the hospital. Moreover, the construction drawings of this hospital were originally designed by our design company. The information they sent is very clear. There is no other passage in this operating room. Lianting became even more suspicious of Gumo's words. Although he was not a medical staff, he was able to cross the hospital cordon and enter the operating room. And you lied about the true whereabouts of the ghost hand saint doctor? He waved his hand, and a group of security guards in black suits suddenly surrounded them, quickly separating Gumo from the patient's family. Gumo put her hands in her pockets and couldn't help but chuckle. "Boss Lee, what do you mean by this?" Lianting stood up from his seat calmly, in a suit and tie, with one hand casually inserted into his trousers. When his men saw him coming, they immediately made way for him. Gumo was inside and he was outside, and their eyes, full of gunpowder, collided instantly. When Dong Qingrun and Lin Wanner saw Lianting, they were so jealous that their teeth were broken. Why would Lianting come to find Gumo? Lianting frowned and said, "There is no other exit in the operating room. You are the only non-staff member at the operating scene. I wonder where the ghost hand doctor left from." He seemed nonchalant, but his scrutinizing eyes had already locked Gumo in place. Gumo remained calm, meeting his gaze without any evasion, with a hint of amusement in her beautiful eyes, and chuckled. "You have to ask him about this. After all, I didn't go with him. If there's nothing else, I'll take my people and leave first. After all, this is a hospital and it won't have a good impact." Gumo said, waving her hands and starting to instruct her subordinates. "Liemo, have them leave, and leave 2 people to guard outside Uncle Fu's ward. Except for me and the doctors and nurses in the hospital, don't let anyone get close." Gumo took a step forward, and the wall of bodyguards in front of her immediately made way for her. She rushed to Uncle Fu's ward without stopping. Lianting sneered when he heard her instructions to his subordinates. She said she didn't know. He finally realized that this woman was lying to him. Mo Feng quickly approached Lianting and said, "Master Ting, what should we do now?" Master Ting has paid too much over the years in search of the whereabouts of the ghost hand saint doctor. This is the closest he has ever been to the ghost hand saint doctor, and he absolutely cannot let this opportunity go. Lianting's deep eyes flashed with a dangerous light. "Keep an eye on Gumo and find out her background." "Yes, Master Ting." After Gumo arrived at the ward and checked on Uncle Fu's condition, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Mr. Gu, is Uncle Fu okay?" Liemo asked with concern as he looked at Uncle Fu lying on the hospital bed. "He's no longer in danger of death. I just hope that this malignant tumor won't metastasize." Gumo sighed, thinking of what Lianting had just said. He should have suspected her. She made the decision to show up at the hospital in a hurry, but for Uncle Fu, she had no choice. Now that Lianting has been targeting him, the only way out is to do the opposite and completely dispel his doubts. Liemo, immediately have the organization release some information about the ghost hand saint doctor. Remember, it has to be fake. Clear. At this time, what Gumo didn't know was that her beloved son Jing Shing had sneaked into the hospital's monitoring room. Last night, he was next to Mommy when she called. Knowing that Mommy was going to show up in the hospital today as the ghost hand doctor, he was worried about Mommy's safety, so he followed her to the hospital. His chubby little hands tapped a few times in front of the huge screen, and all the images began to play, in turn everything that happened when Gumo arrived at the hospital. Lin Wanner and Dong Qingrun caught his attention. He has learned some spoken language. There is no sound in the video, only pictures, and he can judge what people are saying by their lip shapes. Lin Wanner and Dong Qingrun are clearly making things difficult for her and mocking Mommy. The little girl slammed the table in anger, and a hint of cunning flashed across her young and bright eyes. Chapter 27. Master Ting discovers little Jing Shing. Jing Shing's fingers quickly tapped on the keyboard, and the system quickly connected to the subordinate's phone line. "Hello, young master? Is there anything you can help me with?" Jing Shing's black, grape-like eyes narrowed in a smile. Lin Wanner and Dong Qingrun have already reached the hospital elevator. "Help me stop them. This young master wants to give them a wonderful gift package." The corners of my mouth couldn't help but twitch. The big gift package that the young master mentioned, can that be called a gift package? It's clearly a funeral song. At this time, Lin Wanner and Dong Qingrun entered the elevator together. Both of them looked dejected. The elevator reached the first floor, and the two were about to go out, but a man walked in before them and closed the door again. "Hey, what are you doing? We haven't left yet." Lin Wana was already in a bad mood, and there was a sense of hostility as soon as she opened her mouth. The man was indeed in a good mood and bowed quickly. "Excuse me, is this Miss Lin Wana? I'm the assistant of the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor. He really wants to see you. Would it be convenient for you to come with me? Ghost Hand Holy Doctor? Is it true? Then what are we waiting for? Take us there quickly." Lin Wana couldn't wait any longer after hearing his words. What an honor it is to be able to see the Holy Doctor of Ghost Hands in private. Moreover, it was he who asked to see me. Lin Wana was very excited at the thought that she might be accepted as his disciple today. "Yes, this way, please." The elevator had reached the second floor below ground level at some point, and the man walked out to lead the way. Dong Qingrun also followed Lin Wana out of the elevator, but the further she walked, the colder she felt on her back. I don't know if the hospital was reluctant to spend money on electricity on the underground second floor, but the corridor is completely dark except for a few green signs indicating the emergency exits. The further she walked, the more frightened she felt. She held Lin Wana's hand tightly and said, "Wana, this place feels a little spooky. Is the Ghost Hand Saint Doctor really here?" "Should be here." Lin Wana's voice sounded trembling with a hint of forbearance. In fact, she was a little scared in her heart. After all, this was a hospital, and so many people died every day. From the perspective of feng shui, it was not good. When she was in medical school, tasks like moving and carrying corpses were all done by men, so she had never been to a place with such a strong yin energy. "Everyone, don't be afraid. It's just because there are fewer people here, so the teacher asked us to meet here." The man walking in front comforted them softly, and suddenly stopped outside a white door. "You too, this is it. The Ghost Hand Saint Doctor is waiting for you inside." Lin Wana cleared her throat, pushed open the door bravely, and pulled Dong Qingrun in. In the moonlight, the corpse on the grid was covered with a white cloth. The moonlight poured in through the small window, and even the dust floating in the air could be clearly seen. Lin Wana suddenly felt that she had been deceived and turned around quickly, but the door behind her slammed and was completely locked from the outside. Dong Qingrun was so frightened that he rushed to the door and banged on it desperately. "Someone come! Is there anyone here? Open the door! Help me, I don't want to stay in this damn place. Let me out! I want to get out!" She screamed desperately, and suddenly felt her feet sink. She lowered her head and saw a pair of cold, blue-frozen hands grabbing her ankles. The owner of the hand was naked from the waist up, with a hospital watch on his wrist. He said in a sad and ethereal voice, "Come on, let's play together." "Ah, ghost, ghost." Dong Qingrun was so frightened that he jumped on the spot. He ran around as if his feet were on fire, and kept patting his ankle that had been grabbed. Lin Wana originally wanted to pretend, and said that they were all dead and there was nothing to be afraid of. But suddenly, she saw a corpse with its head covered beside her, and its left hand suddenly rolled out. The man must have died in a car accident. His hands were crushed to pieces and fell softly, as if he had no bones, in a strange posture in front of Lin Wana. "Ah!" She screamed and quickly turned back to grab Dong Qingrun's hand, but touched something icy. When he turned around, he saw a woman with disheveled hair, whose eyeballs were knocked out, grinning at him. "Ghost!" Lin Wana wanted to scream, but she was so frightened that her face turned pale. She couldn't catch her breath and fainted. And Dong Qingrun had already fainted in the corner. "Young master, these two people can't stand being scared anymore." The lights in the morgue suddenly came on, and the man and woman who had just scared Lin Wana and Dong Qingrun took off their clothes and wiped the disguises on their faces with their hands. Jing Shing sat up from one of the morgues and shook his limp left hand. "Find someone to throw them out. These two people are so boring. They are so easily scared." Jing Shing's handsome face smiled brightly. "They are too timid. How about we help them practice their courage next time?" The corner of my subordinate's mouth twitched. "Young master, that's called helping them build up their courage. You are sending them straight to heaven." Outside the hospital, Lianting was about to get into the car surrounded by bodyguards when his subordinates rushed over from the elevator entrance, leaned over to whisper a few words in Mo Feng's ear, and then left. Mo Feng considered it again and again, then walked to Lianting, who was sitting in the car, and said hesitantly, "Boss Li, one of my subordinates just reported that two people were found in the corridor on the basement floor of the hospital. One is Mr. Lin's daughter, Lin Wana, and the others, Miss Gu Shanshan's mother, Dong Qingrun. They must have been frightened and passed out. The first and second basement floors are the hospital's morgues. How could the person be there?" A trace of barely perceptible surprise flashed across Lianting's expressionless face, but soon, The scene of Dong Qing Run and Gu Momo arguing with each other in the ward emerged in his mind. His intuition told him that this matter must be related to Gu Momo. Mo Fong, turn on the surveillance for me, he ordered in a deep voice. Mo Fong immediately took out a small tablet, connected it to the hospital's computer monitoring screen, and handed it to him. In the picture, 3 people, 2 adults and 1 child, suddenly appeared at the staircase of the morgue on the 2nd floor half an hour ago. The 2 adults were wearing doctors' uniforms and carried a corpse into the morgue. This corpse, from head to toe, is less than 1 meter long and clearly looks like a child. The surveillance footage was obviously tampered with. The image appeared blurry, and even the faces of the people could not be seen clearly. But this child and this figure, why does he feel that they look familiar? A bit like his son Li Zixiao. Li Jianting narrowed his eyes and immediately ordered, "Immediately block all exits of the hospital. Mo Fong, follow me to the morgue on the 2nd floor below ground." Chapter 28, Jing Shing goes home with his father. In the morgue, Jing Shing had just changed into his own clothes and was ready to leave. The male bodyguard who had gone out to explore the way suddenly came back and said in a panic, "Young master, please leave quickly. Li Jianting is coming here with a large group of people." Jing Shing was not panicked. He supported himself with his little hands and jumped down from the morgue. He clapped his hands and said, "Then you can go first. Young master, what about you? If Mr. Gu knew that you were missing, you and I would not be able to save ourselves even if we had 10 lives." The female bodyguard and the male bodyguard, named to you, looked at each other, filled with worry. "I'll stay. It's just right. I want to meet him." Jing Shing looked at the door with a smile. He was really curious about the hacker next to Li Jianting. "Young master, this won't work. Li Jianting is a moody person. What if he does something to hurt you? Yes, I also think this is inappropriate. Even if we can't leave, we must ensure the young master's safety." The 2 bodyguards vowed to express their loyalty to Gu Jinggang. Jing Shing rolled his eyes at them. "You are so long-winded. Hurry up and leave. I'm just a 5-year-old child. Why is Li Jianting angry with me?" Jing Shing was very confident about this. The 2 bodyguards were in a dilemma, but seeing that the young master was so determined, they did not dare to stay any longer and decided to leave first and then follow the young master to protect his safety. As a result, as soon as the 2 men left, Li Jianting rushed in with Mo Fong and several of his men. Young master? Why are you here?" Mo Fong was so shocked when he saw Jing Shing that his jaw almost dropped. "Holy shit, isn't it? He's not blind. How come the young master is here?" Upon hearing this, Li Jianting behind him quickly pushed Mo Fong away and stepped in. When he saw Jing Shing's young and handsome face, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. "Zixiao," Jing Shing, who was stopped on the spot. "Do these 2 people have any serious illness? Even their children can admit their mistakes?" A deep surprise flashed across Li Jianting's deep eyes, but soon his gaze softened, and he simply squatted down to look Jing Shing in the eye. "Zixiao, why are you out today?" For Li Jianting, this was no ordinary surprise. "My son Li Zixiao has never liked going out or socializing since he was young. When he was 3 years old, he should have been in the kindergarten class, but he refused to do it. After that, all his activities were limited to the Li family's villa." Li Jianting had wanted to take his son out more than once, fearing that he would get sick from locking himself up at home all year round, but his plans always ended in vain. "But I didn't expect that my son would show up here today." Jing Shing. "No way? Could it be that he really looks so much like Li Jianting's son that Li Jianting even mistook him for his own son?" Jing Shing smiled with his bright eyes. "Uncle, are you stupid? Isn't it stupid if even your own son admits his mistake?" Mo Feng's head was filled with black lines. This kid who can joke and smile so handsomely, is he really his little master?" The corners of Li Jianting's mouth twitched. This was the first time he saw his son speak so happily. But what I said was indeed a bit heartbreaking. Li Jianting has always been very patient with his son. "Be good, tell daddy that you came here alone?" Jing Shing, who was mistaken, said, "It's all over. It looks like there's a huge misunderstanding today." At this moment, Guan Shan suddenly pushed the door open and said, "Jianting, I heard that my mother fainted. How is she now?" When Li Jianting heard her voice, his brows frowned, and his eyes immediately looked at Jing Shing not far away. He knew that his son hated Guan Shan very much and would get a headache every time he saw her. So he immediately stood in front of the 2 of them, blocking Jing Shing's sight, and asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" Gu Shanshan was treated coldly and lowered her head aggrievedly. I'm just worried. Gu Jingshing, who was standing by, became furious when he heard what this evil woman said. Humph! Then he would go home with Li Jianting and give this woman a good beating. Li Jianting was just about to tell Gu Shanshan not to make random guesses, when suddenly his palm softened and a soft little hand suddenly grasped his palm. Daddy, let's go home. Li Jianting's back stiffened, and when he lowered his head, he saw his son's eyes shining and looking at him with a smile. He almost thought he was hallucinating. How come this child suddenly became so friendly? Although he was surprised, Li Jianting was still extremely happy about his son's sudden affection. He immediately squatted down and held Gu Jingshing in his arms with one hand. Even Gu Shanshan, who didn't know much about Li Zixiao, was so surprised that she stood there in a daze. Zixiao, why did you suddenly? Li Jianting looked at his son in his arms, staring at Gu Shanshan with his eyes. This was completely different from his usual behavior, when he would lose control of his emotions and yell at her to get out whenever he saw her. Gu Jingshing turned around, put one hand on his neck, and said to Gu Shanshan, as if to show off, "Why do you care so much? It's natural for me to be close to my father, but I just don't want to be close to a bad woman like you." Gu Shanshan's face suddenly turned blue and red. When did this little brat Li Zixiao become so eloquent? But on the surface, she naturally didn't dare to complain. Li Jianting doted on this sickly son to the extreme. Sometimes, even he himself was rejected by his beloved son, but he had to endure it. How could he treat her more? So, she laughed dryly twice and coaxed him in a flattering way. Zixiao, I'm Aunt Shanshan. How can you talk to Aunt Shanshan like that? Of course, there's nothing wrong with you being close to Dad, but Aunt Shanshan also wants to be close to you, right? Who is close to you? I'm so cute, and you're so ugly. Do you think you are worthy of being close to me? Gu Jingxing glanced at her with great disdain, then immediately looked at Li Jianting and said calmly, Father, let's go back. Li Jianting felt a surge of warmth in his heart, and he even felt that it was an unexpected surprise. This was the first time that his darling spoke a long paragraph so fluently. He suppressed his excitement and gently held Gu Jingxing's hand. Be good, baby. Ignore her. Daddy will take you away. How about that? Gu Jingxing's eyes sparkled with joy. Okay. It would be so exciting if I could go back and give this bad woman a good beating. Li Jianting smiled gently, rubbed Gu Jingxing's head lovingly, and pulled him outside. Gu Shanshan hurriedly followed him. Jianting, can I take your car? Gu Shanshan recited all the way from the morgue on the underground second floor to the hospital entrance, and Li Jianting's ears were almost calloused. He stopped suddenly, and Gu Shanshan bumped into his shoulder. Gu Jingxing reached out and pushed her back, and Gu Shanshan sat down on the ground. Chapter 29, Goodbye, Aunt Fairy. Gu Shanshan found herself being pushed down and glared at Gu Jingxing fiercely. The moment Li Jianting turned his head, she quickly put on a pitiful expression, propped herself up on the ground with both hands, and looked at him with tears in her eyes. Jianting, Zixiao, this matter is up to you to decide. Li Jianting looked at his son and said gently. Gu Shanshan was completely discouraged now. It would be better not to ask this sick guy. It's obvious that he would never agree to let me live back home. Gu Jingxing's eyes rolled back. Originally, he dressed up as Li Jianting's son just to teach Gu Shanshan a lesson. If she can't even get into the Li family's car, how can I deal with her? So he tilted his head and pretended to think, Daddy, if she doesn't go back, we will be so bored. We must take her back with us so that the future will be more interesting. Don't you think so, Daddy? When Gu Shanshan heard this, her almond-shaped eyes widened, and she could hardly believe her ears. Li Jianting also looked surprised. He frowned. Take her back? Gu Jingxing blinked his bright eyes happily. Yes, she picked me up back then, so I was able to survive. Of course I have to repay her well. Let her live with me for a while, so that I can find a chance to repay her. Gu Shanshan was really surprised. Not only did this brat get close to her, he even wanted her to live with him. Son, Li Jianting frowned. He didn't want any woman except Lioli to step into his villa. Gu Jingxing deliberately shook Li Jianting's hand in a cute way. Daddy, please, Daddy, you love me the most, right, Daddy? Li Jianting, I really want to refuse, but this is my precious son, and this is the first time he is acting like a spoiled child. Helplessly, he could only surrender to his son, but we have an agreement. It's only this time. And your mommy is Lioli, not anyone else, remember that? Xiao Jingxing nodded quickly. Okay. Gu Shanshan was so happy that her heart was flying. This was her first time entering the Li family villa. It seems that her marriage to Lianting is just around the corner. Gumo stayed in the hospital until the evening before coming out, and Liemo went to the garage to drive. Because she had surgery the day before, her whole body was sore, so she chose to leave the hospital through the gate and walk for a while by herself. Just as I passed the alley around the corner of the hospital, I heard intermittent quarrels coming from inside. Look, isn't this our dumb young master? You're a self-absorbed idiot. You just pretend to be noble all day long. Don't you like staying at home? Why are you coming out? People like this really deserve to have no friends. Not only does he have no friends, he also has no mother. I heard that his mother didn't want him, so she abandoned him when he was a kid. What a little devil. Several children around 5 or 6 years old gathered together and forced Li Zixiao into a corner. The leading boy in a black suit looked like the big brother of this group of naughty kids. He stretched out his finger and kept poking Li Zixiao's chest. Li Zixiao had his back against the wall, having retreated to a point where he had no way to retreat. He allowed the other party to continue poking his chest without making any noise or fighting back. His face always had a calm expression that showed no emotion at all. It was as if the group of naughty kids in front of him who were bullying him were just air. Originally, he came to meet a hacker friend he met online. They talked for a while, and Li Zixiao felt that he had a good match with him. But unexpectedly, when I came out alone, I didn't see anyone, but met a few young masters from rich families. Li Zixiao has followed Lianting since he was a child. He has always been calm and patient. When he looks at these rich young masters, it is natural that he looks at them as if they were a group of idiots. Gumo walked closer and saw that it was indeed a group of people bullying a child. She immediately scolded them coldly. "What are you doing?" The naughty kids who were teasing Li Zixiao with a smile just now saw an adult coming and were afraid that it was someone from the Li family, so they quickly ran away. After the group of children left, Li Zixiao did not stand up immediately. It had just rained in the imperial capital in the afternoon, and the ground was still wet. Li Zixiao was forced into a corner by them, half sitting on the ground. His buttocks and back were covered with mud, feeling icy cold. He stared at the trash can in the corner in a daze, and what came to his mind were the words of one of the naughty kids. Not only does he have no friends, he also has no mother. I heard that his mother didn't want him, so she abandoned him when he was a kid. What a little devil. Well, yes, he's a little devil. A little devil who even his mother doesn't want him. The alley was dark, with only a dim street lamp above head. Gumo walked closer and realized that this kid's face wasn't he her own son, Jing Shing? She lost her temper and quickly walked to her son, picked him up from the ground, and examined his body distressedly. "Baby, why are you here? Why did you let them bully you? Are you hurt anywhere?" Gumo didn't understand. Her son was so stubborn and vindictive that he would never suffer any loss. But today, how could I be willing to let a group of kids of the same age bully me like this? She looked at the mud stains on her son's body and felt angry and distressed. Li Zixiao stood there stupidly, looking at the fairy ant who suddenly appeared, feeling surprised and happy. It turns out that with a population of tens of millions in the imperial capital, he still has a chance to reunite with the fairy ant. But the fairy ant just called me baby, and this was the first time they met, so why did the ant act like she knew me? Gumo thought her baby was frightened, so she quickly coaxed him gently. "Baby, what's wrong? Are you frightened?" Li Zixiao's heart seemed to be filled with warmth, and his calm eyes were tinged with a hint of crystal. Fairy ant is so gentle. It was like a fairy from heaven came to save him. Li Zixiao couldn't hold back the throbbing in his heart any longer, and he hugged Gumo tightly with his soft little hands, completely immersed in it. Fairy ant is so soft and feels like a mother. Gumo felt that something was wrong with her son, and she immediately stroked his head with concern. "Baby, aren't you usually very lively and active? Why are you silent today?" "Huh." Li Zixiao wanted to shake his head. No, he was just afraid that the fairy ant would find out if he spoke, and she might recognize the wrong person. He was greedy for the tenderness of the fairy ant, and he didn't want to leave her. Looking at her son's appearance, Gumo truly felt that her son was frightened. Just then, the sound of a car engine was heard on the road outside the alley. After a while, a man in a black suit ran in quickly. "Boss Gu, what happened to the young master?" Gumo checked her son's whole body. Fortunately, only his clothes were dirty and he was not injured, so she breathed a sigh of relief. "I ran into some naughty kids. It's okay. Luckily, I wasn't hurt. I guess they were just scared." It was not until then that Li Zixiao realized that the fairy Annie treated him as her son. But, am I really that much like her son? Baby, come home with mommy, okay? Gumomo felt distressed when she saw that her son had been silent, and her voice softened unconsciously. Li Zixiao looked at the fairy ant in front of him. Her gentle voice was like a soft marshmallow. He was deeply immersed in it and never wanted to come out again. He didn't care. At this moment, he wanted to be selfish for once. I want to stay with Fairy Ant for a while longer, although he might still lose her in the end. Yeah, he nodded obediently. Gumomo smiled faintly and rubbed his little head. Let's go. Get in the car. Chapter 30. Longing for the tenderness of Fairy Ant. Gumomo brought Li Zixiao back to Jupin Mingyuan. As soon as he entered the house, he was attracted by the robotic female voice above his head, welcoming them home. The sound of this system is not as mechanical as ordinary ones, but instead carries some emotions in it. The person who designed this thing must be very good at computer software and hacking. Gumomo was walking alone in front and found that her son was not following her. She turned around and saw him looking up at the ceiling as if thinking about something. She frowned. Why was her son's reaction so abnormal today? Was he really scared by those naughty kids? It may also be that she hasn't been with him much during this period. Thinking of this, Gumomo felt even more guilty towards her son. She quickly walked to his side and touched his head. Baby, what are you thinking? You designed this thing. Why are you still surprised? Li Zixiao raised his head with a hint of surprise in his eyes. But after just a second, he returned to his calm expression. It turns out that the fairy ant's son is so amazing, and he is the same age as me. Thinking of this, he felt a little jealous of the fairy ant's son, as he could have the fairy ant all to himself. Gumomo went to the kitchen to heat up a bowl of soup, brought it out and put it on the table to cool, then walked to her son's bedroom, filled the bathtub with water, and then turned back to the living room. Li Zixiao stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the steaming soup on the table. Gumomo thought he was hungry, so she walked over to him and said softly, "Be good, drink later. Go take a shower with your mother first." Li Zixiao was somewhat resistant. After being pulled to the bathroom by Gumomo, he stood by the bathtub, not moving at all. Since he was a child, he didn't like others to enter his life. Since he was 2 years old, he has learned to wash his face, brush his teeth, and take a bath by himself. Even his room is not allowed to be entered by anyone except Lianting and the nanny who raised him. Now, he was still somewhat resistant to taking off his clothes and taking a bath in front of the fairy ant. Seeing him standing there motionless, Gumomo said with a half-smile, "Why? You still want your mother to help you wash? You are so old now. You should learn to be more independent." If it were any other time, Jing Shing would have already started to act like a spoiled brat, and his favorite thing was for Gumomo to help him take a bath, because he could play with water in the bathtub with his mommy. But unfortunately, the child in front of him was not Jing Shing, but Li Zixiao. "Mommy," Li Zixiao called cautiously. He seemed to be still not used to it. "Can you please turn around?" Gumomo almost thought there was something wrong with her hearing. "What did you say?" "Turn around," Li Zixiao emphasized again. Gumomo was then sure that she had not heard wrong, and she couldn't help but chuckle. My son, who always pesters me to help him take a bath, actually started to feel shy today. It's really like the sun is rising in the west. Although confused, Gumomo still did it. The shower gel is the blue one, and the one for shampooing is the cream-colored one. Didn't you know that? On weekdays, she was the one who helped with washing most of the time, and she was worried that her son couldn't find it, so she reminded him again. Li Zixiao responded with a as he got into the bathtub. "Then you wash yourself first, and mommy will help you wash your dirty clothes." Gumomo picked up the clothes he took off and turned to leave the bathroom. In another bathroom, Gumomo was rubbing clothes, and the more she thought about it, the more strange it seemed. How come this child suddenly became so well-behaved and sensible? By the time she absent-mindedly finished washing and hanging up the clothes, Li Zixiao had also finished washing. He was wearing the little bathrobe he had prepared. His hair was wet and dripping, and he ran out wrapped up like a little dumpling. "Look at you. Your hair isn't even dry yet." Gumomo laughed, quickly put down the clothes she was about to hang out to dry, took a clean towel, and gently began to wipe his hair. Li Zixiao just stood there obediently, letting Gumomo shake his head left and right. Fairy Ant's movements are so gentle. Oh, Daddy is also very gentle. But how can Daddy be as important as the Fairy Ant? After simply drying him, Gumomo took her son back to the bathroom and took out a hair dryer to blow his hair. Li Zixiao stood in front of the mirror, looking at Gumomo greedily through the wet hair on his forehead. fairy aunt is really beautiful. She was different from the bright and beautiful girl he saw at the auction for the first time. She was a fairy aunt in home clothes and seemed to have a very strange smell. It smelled milky and was warm and gentle. Her fingers were smooth, and when they rubbed his wet scalp, it was like tickling his heart. This feeling was so comfortable that he wanted to lie down and snuggle into the arms of the fairy aunt. Gumo felt her son's burning gaze and stared at her face in the mirror. What's wrong? Is there something on Mom's face? Li Zixiao shook his head and said only 2 words. It looks good. Gumo was amused by him. Jing Shing, who was so frugal with words, was inexplicably comical. After blow-drying his hair, Gumo asked Li Zixiao to drink the cooled soup before urging him to go back to the bedroom to rest. Li Zixiao lay down on the bed very obediently. But as soon as he lay down, he felt uncomfortable all over. The night is long. Can he sleep with the fairy aunt? Li Zixiao felt excited at the thought of sleeping with Gumo, and he quickly turned over and got up. Gumo came out of the bedroom wearing a bathrobe and suddenly saw a little guy beside her bed. Li Zixiao was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding a small children's pillow he brought from his bedroom, with his eyes wide open. There was a hint of anticipation on his cold and clean, handsome face, and he was so cute that he looked like a little clown. Gumo was so cute at his well-behaved appearance that she burst out laughing. What's the matter? Don't you always say that men should be independent? Do you suddenly want to sleep with mommy tonight? It seems that this little guy was really scared just now. The person who likes to sleep alone the most actually brought his own pillow today and asked to sleep with me. Li Zixiao. Yeah, he just really wants to sleep with the fairy aunt. Gumo walked over, pinched his nose, and threw him into the bed. Be good. Don't be afraid. Mommy is with you. Li Zixiao leaned on Gumo's shoulder and could clearly smell the warm scent on her body, which was like sunshine mixed with a little K-pop. This warm feeling is just like Mom. Thinking of this, Li Zixiao's hand holding the corner of Gumo's pajamas unconsciously tightened a little. Chapter 31, I Want to Steal My Sister Home. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when Lianting, Jing Shing, and Guan Shan returned to the Li family villa. Seeing that her father and brother were not at home today and had not slept, Li Qingling sat on the carpet in the living room, holding her doll and playing house. Hearing the noise coming from the entrance, she immediately put down her doll, stuck out her little butt, climbed up from the carpet, and ran over to greet them. Daddy, brother, why did you come back so late? The originally sweet voice suddenly turned cold after seeing Guan Shan coming in with her father and brother. Why did you come? Guan Shan forced out a flattering smile. Linger, and Shan is here? Aren't you happy? Who asked you to come here? You annoying guy who's trying to hook up with Daddy. Li Qingling's questioning eyes quickly fell on Lianting and Jing Shing. It was the first time that Jing Shing saw Linger. He thought this little sister was very cute, with skin as white as jelly and very bouncy. He really wanted to pinch her. Even when she is angry, she is so cute. I really want to steal her back and make her my daughter. Guan Shan smiled and said, My brother called me. Linger looked at her brother in disbelief, her tender face full of disappointment after being betrayed. Brother, you are a bad guy. Who told you to allow her to enter the Leaf family's territory? After saying that, Linger ran back to her room with tears in her eyes. Lianting withdrew his hand that was hanging in the air, his face looking terribly cold. At this moment, he really wanted to kick Guan Shan out. Daddy, don't worry. I'll go and comfort my sister. Jing Shing patted his chest firmly and assured. She will definitely calm down. Oh my. It would be a waste for him if he didn't take the opportunity to secretly play with such a soft and cute little sister, right? Lianting looked back in surprise. How could my son, who is oblivious to what is happening outside, become so sensible? Jing Shing picked up the doll on the ground and jumped upstairs. In the bedroom, Li Qingling was sitting in front of her small dressing table, holding a teddy bear and talking to herself. My brother is a bad guy. He clearly said that he hated that bad woman the most, but he actually agreed to let her enter the gate of the Leaf family villa. Little bear, from now on, we will only be able to depend on each other. No matter what, we must drive the bad woman out of the house. Jing Shing, who had just walked to the door, raised the corners of his mouth unconsciously when he heard Li Lingqing's words. Unexpectedly, this cute little sister actually hates Guan Shan so much. He opened the door a crack, put Li Qingling's doll in, lowered his voice, and said softly, Linger, don't be unhappy. I'm here to comfort you on behalf of Dad and brother. Li Qingling, who was in the house, heard the voice and turned around, and saw her doll lying on the door, shaking its head and talking to her. The voice was clearly her brother's. But would my brother be someone who would do such a thing? Although Linger was very happy, she still responded in a cold voice. Brother, you bad boy. Get out now, I don't want to see you. The doll started to talk again, shaking its head. No, I'm Linger's good friend. I came here specially to play with Linger. Linger, please don't chase me away. You are not my good friend. My good friend would not let that annoying woman into the Leaf family. No, my brother brought her back to teach her a lesson. Do you believe my brother? Jing Shing pinched his throat and explained in a soft voice. After waiting for a long time, there was still no response from the room. Just when he was puzzled, the door was suddenly opened, and he lost his balance and almost fell to the ground. Linga held the door handle and saw her brother's funny look. She finally couldn't hold back her anger and started to giggle. When Jing Shing saw her smile, he was no longer angry and started laughing too. Are you serious? Did you really let her come back just to teach her a lesson? Although she was happy, Linger still confirmed it again with some concern. Don't worry, Jing Shing patted his chest to assure, then suddenly realized that he had almost been exposed and quickly changed his words. I am your brother. When have I ever broken my promise? Linger was relieved then, but then she turned to look at her brother in front of her, who looked energetic with stars in his eyes. She couldn't help but stare at him for a few more seconds. Brother, I found that you seem to be very different. Really? Jing Shing disagreed. Well, not as cold as before. Linger smiled sweetly. She couldn't explain the reason for her brother's sudden change. But I think that such a brother is also very cute. Jing Shing couldn't help but purse his lips and look down upon Lianting's son. As expected of Lianting's son, he is as boring as his father. He has such a cute and adorable sister at home, but she is as cold and aloof as his father? Humph, you don't know how lucky you are. The next morning, after Jing Shing woke up, he immediately ran to the kitchen and asked all the chefs and servants to evacuate. Everyone found the young master's sudden and strange request incredible. In the past, the young master completely ignored them and hardly spoke to them except when he told them to do something. Why do you seem like a completely different person today? You guys should take a rest quickly. Today, I'm in charge, and someone will take over your job. Jing Shing gestured for everyone to leave. Although everyone looked confused, they did not dare to disobey his wishes and soon dispersed. Guan Shan walked down from the second floor and happened to run into Lianting, who was also coming out of the bedroom. Lianting, good morning. She was so excited to be able to enter the Li family's villa that she almost didn't sleep the whole night. Lianting glanced at her, didn't respond, turned around, and walked downstairs. Guan Shan followed closely behind, and when she saw that the table was empty, her brows immediately frowned. What's going on? Butler, didn't you prepare breakfast today? There was no response in the empty room. Jing Shing sat up from the sofa and poked his head out. Shouldn't you do these things? What? Guan Shan was stunned for a few seconds. Xiao, what are you talking about? The Li family. Doesn't the Li family have servants? Besides, when she comes here, she is a guest. How dare this brat ask her to cook? Jing Shing jumped off the sofa, put his hands behind his back, and walked in front of Guan Shan like an old man. You are really weird. Although our Li family is rich and powerful, it is not a place to keep idle people, right? Except for me, my sister, and my dad, all the other people who can enter the Li family villa are servants who take care of us. When I saw that you were so eager to join the Li family, I kindly took you in to be a servant in the Li family. Why? You don't even want to do the work that the servants do. Do you want to be the master of the Li family? As he spoke, his clean little face narrowed with a smile. You don't want to replace my mommy and become the mistress of the Li family, do you? A look of deep surprise flashed across Lianting's dark eyes, and there was an uncontrollable excitement in his chest. Is this fluently speaking child really his beloved son? Guan Shan was completely stunned. Replacing his mother? This is Lianting's taboo. Chapter 32. You are not my son. Who are you? She looked at Lianting in panic, but was met with Lianting's cold eyes. Guan Shan was so frightened that her heart shrank, and she explained tremblingly, Lianting, I didn't mean that. That's not what you mean? Does that mean you'll be a servant in the Li family? Jing Shing looked like he was not listening and raised his eyelids. Hurry up. I'm hungry now. I want to eat. Guan Shan's face had become extremely ugly, but she hesitated and was unwilling to take a step forward. There was no way Jing Shing would let him go easily. His eyes seemed to contain the entire starry sky as he stared at Lianting. This was a look that Lianting had never seen in his son before. It was as if something in his heart had exploded. He was afraid that if Jing Shing wanted the moon in the sky right now, he would buy a spaceship to get it for him. Didn't you hear what Shower said? Lianting ordered in a calm voice. Lianting had spoken, and even if Guan Shan was unwilling, she had no choice but to agree. Okay. Wait, this is my menu. Jing Shing lay on the sofa, crossed his legs, and took out the menu from his pocket, staggeringly. Steamed sea bass, spicy field frog, crispy rabbit legs, Liangshan chicken. They're all meat. Jing Shing's eyes were filled with cunning. Our servants all have a probation period, and there is no salary during the probation period. I want these ingredients to be fresh, and the ingredients are in the kitchen. You can kill them yourself. Guan Shan wanted to cry, but had no tears, because she was going to be the mistress of the Leaf family in the future. Now I have become a free servant. Jing Shing pouted and immediately looked at Lianting, who was standing beside him. Father, I'm hungry. Lianting raised his eyebrows slightly with interest. Why did he feel that his precious son was up to something? There was a doting smile on the corner of his lips, and he deliberately followed his son's meaning. The Leaf family has never taken in useless people. If you can't even do this, please leave the Leaf family villa immediately. Guan Shan was afraid that she would be kicked out, so she gritted her teeth and walked towards the kitchen. Immediately afterwards, her pig-slaughtering screams were heard from the kitchen. When Lianting rushed over, he saw chicken feathers hanging on her head, several bullfrogs jumping on her body, and the base at her feet was swinging its tail desperately due to lack of water. And the chicken with wings ran around the house clucking. She stood there without daring to move. When she saw Lianting, she immediately asked for help. Lianting, save me, take them off me, please. Lianting raised his eyebrows nonchalantly, almost certain that this was his son's prank. But, has my baby ever been so naughty before? It's unexpected, but very interesting. He was about to turn around and ask his son, but Jing Shing immediately turned on the cute mode, ran over, and hugged Lianting's legs softly with his two lotus arms. Wow, Daddy, she is so stupid. Don't people outside say that the young lady of the Leaf family must be both virtuous and talented? She can't even handle the ingredients properly. How can she be kind enough to want to be my mother? It's so embarrassing. The children in the kindergarten are more self-aware than her. Guan Shan, saying that she is not even as good as the kids in kindergarten? Lianting originally hated Guan Shan, but when he saw his son smile, his heart softened even more. He was really surprised and relieved that his son suddenly became so clever. Jing Shing took Lianting's hand and pretended to be innocent and said, Father, I asked the chef to prepare a delicious meal. Let's go eat together. Okay, as long as you are happy. Lianting smiled, ignored Guan Shan beside him, and followed his son out. Guan Shan was so angry. It was agreed that she would become Mr. Li's wife when she returned. How come it turned out like this? Lianting was happy with his son's change. After dinner, he took his son back to the bedroom to take medicine as usual. Jing Shing was still sitting on the carpet, knowing nothing, observing the robot made by Li Zixiao, and was soon attracted to it. Last night, he went back to his room and fell asleep, without even noticing that there was a small robot being studied and made here. Because the robot has not been connected to the program yet, he does not understand its performance, but just looking at the structure, it is simply perfect and impeccable. He has always wanted to humanize the system at home, but has never been able to come up with a robot style that is different from the types on the market. But this one is exactly what he has in mind. Could this have been invented by Li Zixiao's son? TSK, I thought that since Lianting was so stupid, the son he gave birth to would also be a little idiot. I didn't expect his son to be so smart. At this time, Lianting took out the medicine that could inhibit the growth of his son's brain tumor and handed it to him. Zixiao, come, take the medicine. Jing Shing looked at the pill with great disdain. He was in good health. What medicine should he take? He glanced at Lianting speechlessly, then quickly turned on his cuteness mode, shaking Lianting's arm eagerly. Daddy, can we not take medicine? Medicine is so bitter. Besides, look, I'm fine now, right? There were tears in the little guy's clear eyes, which surprised Lianting. Zixiao would never act like this to him before. Is this kid mentally ill? He hurriedly touched Jing Shing's forehead with worry. Dear, let Daddy take a look first to see if your condition has worsened. Jing Shing. Does he look that sick? Touching the little guy's forehead, Lianting frowned. It's strange. Why does it feel like my son is no different from a normal person? Could it be that he is so seriously ill that even his body's immune system can't respond? Lianting narrowed his eyes and quickly grabbed Jing Shing's hand and left, Shower. Be good. Daddy will take you to the hospital right away. Jing Shing. Is this daddy a little fool? In order to successfully get away with it, he pretended to take the medicine and said, Father, how about I play a game with you? It was the first time that Lianting was asked by his son to interact with him, so he naturally accepted it happily. What game? I'll hide the medicine in my hand. If you guess it right, I'll take it. If you don't guess it right, I won't take the medicine for the whole day. Okay. Lianting wanted to refuse, but seeing his son's sudden change of attitude, he was reluctant to do so, so he nodded reluctantly. Okay. Anyway, he didn't believe that his baby could do anything special. His own son, doesn't he understand him? Jing Shing immediately hid the pill behind his back, pretended to be hesitant for a long time, clenched his fist, and handed it over. Here, father, guess it, and I'll eat it if you guess it right. Lianting narrowed his eyes and observed his two hands. If he guessed correctly, there should be nothing on both of his hands. It's a word game with no stated rules, so this is a great possibility. So, he crossed his arms across his chest and confidently pointed to his right hand, then to his left hand. Spread it out, there is nothing on both of your hands. Jing Shing smiled evilly, let go of his hands, and a small black pill rolled out from his right hand and rolled to Lianting's feet. An expression of doubt about life appeared on Lianting's handsome face. Who taught his son such a clever little trick? Father, I guessed wrong. Now the medicine is dirty, so I don't need to take it. Jing Shing raised the corners of his mouth and clapped his hands. In fact, he already had a countermeasure. He had learned magic. Just now, he put the pill on the cuff of his right hand. If Lianting guessed left, he would keep it as it was. If he guessed right, he would let the pill drop from his sleeve. In short, no matter what he guessed, he had a way not to take medicine. Lianting only felt his forehead throbbing. He had originally expected that his baby would not play any tricks, so he agreed so confidently. In the end, he was fooled by his own son? Countless questions flashed through Lianting's mind. Finally, his eyes fell on his son's face. You are not my son. Who are you? Chapter 33. My son looks a lot like Lianting. Jing Shing. No way. Has that stupid dad finally come to his senses? As soon as Lianting finished speaking, he couldn't help but want to slap himself hard. Who else could this precious child be, if not his own son? It seemed that he was really annoyed by Guan Shan's arrival and even said such nonsense. He quickly comforted his son. Dad is talking nonsense. Just go to sleep and remember to call Daddy anytime if you have any problems. Jing Shing squinted his eyes obediently. Good night, Daddy. Lianting was slightly distracted by his son's obedient smile. It seems that he is the one who should see a doctor. He actually feels that the person in front of him is his other son. He left his son's bedroom and closed the door, then saw a small white ball at the door looking at him. Lianting was wearing a pure white nightgown with a lace butterfly on her chest. The hem of her skirt was wavy, making her look like a small carrot. Linger, it's late, you should go to bed. Lianting picked her up from the ground and took her back to the room. Daddy, Linger misses beautiful aunt very much. Can you bring beautiful aunt home? Lianting blinked, and her black eyes, as clear as gems, were sparkling with anticipation. He stopped and asked patiently, Why do you like that woman so much? Linger stretched out her finger and pressed it on the top of his lips. Daddy, it's not that woman, it's the beautiful aunt. Yes, pretty Annie. Lianting coughed lightly and agreed with her. Then why do you like pretty Annie so much? Linger doesn't know either. Linger just thinks that beautiful Annie is very pretty. Moreover, when Linger is feeling bad, beautiful Annie will take care of Linger and give her very sweet candies. As long as Linger eats the candies, she will feel better immediately. Candy? Lianting frowned. What candy? Linger doesn't know either. The last time Linger was taken home by a beautiful aunt, she was panting heavily, and the beautiful aunt fed Ling. Lianting tried hard to recall the feeling of that day. The sweet candy spread in her mouth like a strawberry. Linger's asthma is congenital, and no candy can suppress her asthma. Unless what that woman, Gumo, gave her was medicine. What kind of medicine could make Linger feel better instantly? Lianting couldn't understand it, but he became interested in how Gumo could control Linger's asthma. Lianting saw that her father was in a daze and reminded him, Daddy, why are you silent? Can you take the beautiful aunt home? Linger, let's talk about this later. It's too late, and you should go to bed. Lianting changed the subject and sent his daughter back to her room. Manhwa. In the early morning, the sun was particularly bright, and some of its mischievous light shone through the white gauze window and sprinkled on the soft big bed in the house. Li Zixiao opened his eyes like a lazy cat. The bedside was empty, and he didn't see the fairy ant. He got up in a panic to look for her, and even forgot to put on his shoes. Gumomo heard the noise and quickly ran out of the bathroom. "Baby, are you awake?" Li Zixiao rubbed his eyes and stared at the fairy ant in a daze. Fairy ant looks so beautiful today. Her snow-white skin seems to be glowing. Her long, slightly curly hair is draped behind her, and she looks very capable in a white suit. "Mom, it looks very beautiful." Li Zixiao, who was very frugal with words, praised in the most sincere tone. Hearing her son's praise early in the morning, she felt inexplicably happy. "Thank you, baby. Mommy has to do something important today. You can go with Mommy and wait for me in the car. After we're done, Mommy will take you to the amusement park." "How about that?" Li Zixiao went over the word amusement park in his mind with an expression of extreme resistance. He hated crowded places, but it was different when he was with Fairy Ant. "Okay," Li Zixiao agreed without any principles. After Gumomo put on her makeup and changed her clothes, she was about to help her son clean up when she found that he had already washed up and was sitting obediently at the dining table in the living room. She was actually a little uncomfortable with Jing Shing, who had such a good sense of time and finally didn't need her to urge him. However, seeing that her son was still in his pajamas, she knew that she would have to do things like changing his clothes. Of course, you have to dress cutely when going to the amusement park. Gumomo took out a blue striped t-shirt from the closet and paired it with white overalls, looking youthful and energetic. "Baby, how do you look in this dress?" Gumomo brought the clothes she had put together to Li Zixiao. Li Zixiao looked at the bright colors and shook his head in embarrassment. He likes black, white, and gray, and the simpler the color and style of his clothes, the better. In this respect, he is very similar to Lianting. "Don't like it." Gumomo took another look at the clothes she had chosen, looking confused. "Shouldn't it be? Isn't this Jing Shing's favorite color?" When she came to her senses, her son, who had been sitting at the dining table, had already run to the balcony, his eyes fixed on the clothes he had worn yesterday. "You're going to wear this?" Li Zixiao nodded. Gumomo had no choice but to take off her clothes and give them to him to change into. "Mom, what is she going to do? Do you need help?" Li Zixiao asked about the suggestion of changing clothes. "Nothing. I just wanted to make some trouble." Gumomo buttoned the last button for him, then patted his back. Let's go out." The address of what Gumomo was going to do was at Gu Group. She drove to Gu's group and received another call from Lianmo in the car. "Boss Gu, Lianting and Guan Shan have asked to see you several times. This time they even sent you a gift worth millions. Should we accept it?" Gumomo's lips curled up seductively. "Take it. If we don't take the things they handed to us, wouldn't we be fools?" Lianmo, "So you agree to return the land to Gu Group?" Gumomo's lips curled up into a sweet smile. "Who said that accepting their gifts means that we have to give them back?" The Gu Group is jumping around so happily now. I want to stab them in the heart one by one. Let them taste the pain and then die. Lianmo couldn't help but shook his shoulders. When it came to torturing people, the president was still the best. "Then, Mr. Gu, please enjoy your game. I'm going to hang up first." In the conference room of Gu Group, Lianting, Guan Shan, and a group of Gu senior executives were holding an emergency meeting to discuss how to take back the land that was intercepted and snatched away by SK Group. Back then, Lianting snatched the inheritance from Gumomo's mother and swallowed up all of her mother's property. Only then was Gu's company able to leap from an ordinary small business to one of the top 10 companies in the imperial capital. The rumor that Lianting relied on women to get to the top and lived off them has not dissipated over the years. Therefore, among the company's shareholders, there are many who are dissatisfied with him being the president. And now, because of his wrong decision, the company has lost such an important resource. Some shareholders who are dissatisfied with him expressed their dissatisfaction at the meeting. "We must not lose this piece of land. We have invested so much manpower, material resources, and financial resources in it in the early stage. If it really falls into the hands of others, the loss will be heavy." "Mr. Gu, how did you and your daughter handle this matter? I heard that you went to see the president of SK Group a few days ago. What was the result?" "Yes, no matter what, it's better to say it out loud so that everyone can have a clear idea in their mind." Facing the shareholders' questioning, how could Lianting say that he and his daughter were locked up in the office and beaten? He could only smile awkwardly and make an excuse. The president was away that day because of something, so we didn't see him. Guan Shan knew that they wanted to embarrass her father. She happened to have returned to the Li family yesterday, so she felt more confident. She looked at the person who had just said this and said with a dagger hidden in her smile, Mr. Lee, this matter still requires everyone to come up with ideas together. I want to hear what you all think. Chapter 34, want to see the CEO? Beg me. Sister, why don't you listen to what I think? A very unique voice sounded at the door of the meeting room. Everyone's attention was instantly drawn to it. Gumo was seen wearing a white suit, with her long brown hair draped over her shoulders like seaweed, swaying up and down as she moved. Under her delicate makeup, her deep and cold eyes contained a smile, which for a moment stunned everyone present. Her beauty is not the kind that needs to be savored carefully, but the kind that strikes directly into the heart and is absolutely stunning. And after this first-time critical shock, I still don't feel bored, but rather it becomes more intriguing. It took Guan Shan a long time to come back to her senses, and she wanted to curse. But thinking that this was a shareholders' meeting, she suppressed her anger and pretended to be good-tempered and said, "Sister, what are you doing here? This is the shareholders' meeting of our Gu Group. Everyone here is a shareholder or executive of the company. This is not a place for you to play around." She tried hard to maintain her elegant and noble image, but Gu Jinting next to her couldn't help herself. He scolded coldly, "Gumo, what are you doing? Get out of here right now. I warn you, don't cause trouble here." "How do you know I'm here to cause trouble?" Gumo sneered. "If I remember correctly, my mother owned 20% of the shares in Gu's company. You and her have divorced. Legally speaking, I'm the first heir, right?" Speaking of shares, Gu Jinting's face suddenly became extremely ugly. Everyone knew that he obtained the position of president in a dishonorable way, but no one spoke out. After hearing what Gumo said, he became even more eager to kick her out. "Gumo, don't think that I won't do anything to you just because you are my Gu Jinting's daughter. 5 years ago, I severed our father-daughter relationship. If you still don't listen to my kind words of advice today, don't blame me for being rude." He glared at her, said something harsh, then turned to his secretary and said, "Call the security up immediately." Gumo was not in a hurry. She crossed her arms and said lazily, "What if I can take back the land that was taken away by SK Group?" Gu Jinting and Guan Shan were stunned. Even the shareholders who had been watching the fun could no longer sit still. "Do you really have a way to get that land back?" "Yes. Tell me what you have to say. As long as we can get the land back, we can discuss anything." Yes, we are a family behind closed doors. We are all for the development of the Gu Group." The shareholders started to move towards neutrality with each other. Guan Shan participated in the conference this time in the hope of achieving some results and letting Lianting know that she could also accompany him to conquer the world. If Gumo ruined her plan and the news got out, how would she continue to stay in the celebrity circle? She couldn't help but said angrily, "Gumo, don't embarrass yourself at the conference. What can you do? You just rely on selling your body to gain the temporary favor of those men. Don't you feel ashamed to bring such a thing here?" Guan Shan. Gumo called her name softly. Her eyes suddenly turned cold. "Do you think everyone is like you?" Guan Shan finally changed her expression when she heard this, but she soon calmed down. "Gumo, don't compare yourself with me. I will definitely marry Lianting in the future, and it will be a formal marriage. Unlike you, who only do some shameful things. That's enough." Gu Jinting, who had been silent, slammed the table. "This is a shareholders' meeting, not a place for you two sisters to talk nonsense. Gumo, do you have any way to get the land back? Tell me about it. As long as you can help our Gu Group get this land back, it won't be a problem for you to have a position in the Gu Group." "Dad!" Guan Shan opened her mouth reluctantly, but before she could finish her words, she was suppressed by a look from Gu Jinting. She didn't expect that even her father would believe this woman who was full of lies. Is there really any way to save the Gu family? For Gu Jinting, as long as the crisis can be resolved, it makes no difference to him who comes to rescue and how they rescue. Gumo had long seen through Gu Jinting's profit-seeking nature. Then, she waved at the door, and the lawyer who came with her walked in carrying a black briefcase. The lawyer took out an agreement from the official documents with a blank expression. "Mr. Gu, Miss Gumo can help you get the land from SK Group. But Miss Gumo has a condition. After getting the land, the position of design director of Gu Group must be given to Miss Gumo. If you think it's okay, you can sign here." Guan Shan screamed. "What? Gumo, you dare to take my place?" More than half of the group's shares are concentrated in the design field, and her position as design director is directly related to the lifeblood of the group. Over the years, she has been doing well as the design director. Gumomo just came back and wants to take away her position as the director? Gumomo smiled and said, "How can this be called robbery? Don't we all have shares in Gu Group? We should have equal rights. Let's see who can get the cooperation with SK Group. Isn't this fair competition?" You. Gu Shan gritted her teeth in anger. Damn fair competition. Gumomo can help the president of SK Group to pass messages, but she can't even meet the president of SK Group. The shareholders saw that it was profitable and quickly persuaded. Yeah, isn't this fair competition? Ms. Shan is so capable. How is it possible that she can't even meet the president of SK Group? Gu Shan's cheeks turned red when she heard this, and she could only hold her anger in her heart. If she refuses now, she will admit that she can't even meet the president of SK Group. Looking at Gu Shan's ugly face, Gumomo felt so happy. Wow, you look so ugly now. Will you suffer less in the future? Gu Jiting signed the contract quickly. Thank you for hiring me, Mr. Gu. I have other things to do, so I won't accompany you to the meeting. As for the matter of getting the land back, I will continue to follow up. Momo saw that her goal had been achieved and didn't want to waste any more words with them. She walked out of Gu Group with her own lawyer in a swagger. Gu Shan quickly pulled Gu Jinting's sleeve. Dad, why are you? Gu Jinting quickly comforted him. If she wants to get the position of design director, she has to be able to convince the president of SK Group. I have good news for you. The president of SK Group has just accepted the gift we sent. Really, Gu Shan's eyes lit up. Gu Jinting smiled. This is a good opportunity. You must win the favor of the president of SK Group before Gumomo. By then, if she fails to accomplish the task, but you do, wouldn't that be the best of both worlds? After hearing this, Gu Shan finally understood her father's good intentions and nodded vigorously. Gu Jinting took out a design plan. My birthday party will be in a few days. You write an invitation letter to the president of SK Group and invite Gumomo. Then we will let Gumomo know what embarrassment is. I understand, Dad.